Hello, thank you for joining us for Muay TV. This is Season 2, Episode 14. I'm your host, Ezra Regan. This is my co-host, Sal Apollonio.
Hi there.
We're joined by special guests, IKF officials, Chris and Father Gene Fields. Guys, we finally made it happen.
Right.
We've been trying to get together several times.
Charm, right?
It's a real honor. Thank you so much. Welcome to UFC Gym headquarters in Rocklin, California.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. It's an honor to be on here.
So did you guys drive up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Oh, man. That's great. I appreciate the dedication.
Why? You said you're giving us gas money.
Of course. Lunch, dinner. But yeah, we appreciate it. People come from different distances.
No, we got no problem. We know you guys, and it's for a good thing. So.
Yeah, and people were so excited. You know, I kind of teased. I don't do too much because sometimes the podcasts don't happen. But I was teasing we're going to have IKF officials, the Fields in here, and people were pumped. But it's been not too long since I've seen you. We're always working together.
Right.
Yep.
We were just in Reno together when Albert fought for the title out there against a big guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, we
That
had
was a good fight.
We had a little mishap with the ring, but you know, it was a great fight. It was a great fight.
Yeah, it's been a busy month. You know, I've been all over the place. I try to keep up with what you guys are doing, and I wanted to talk about, you know, what your schedule looks like. My schedule's ridiculous. You know, I talk about it a lot. I got to work it out with my wife because it's like I'm in a band on tour. Like every weekend I'm doing something. Yesterday we were up at Donner Pass. I don't know if you guys saw, but I took a group of Sal was there.
Yep.
But we took about 20 people from the team, and I took them up on the old railroad tunnel up at China Wall.
Oh, cool.
And it was great. And a lot of the people, it's always surprising how many people live in the Valley or even the Bay Area, and they don't even know Donner, that whole area exists.
You know, the story of Donner Pass, half of them, you know.
Well, the history's the one thing. And like... we learned about it in school in my generation, but even that's limited. People just know they ate people.
That's what I was
going to say.
Donner
Party in the snow, they had a barbecue.
They ate people.
But even that, I'm a history nerd, and I've been going up there since I was a kid, so I know a lot about the history, but they should make a movie about it because it's more than just people got snowed in and started eating people. There was a lot that happened, and it would make a great, man, you could probably make a 2-part series out of there, but it ended right here in Sacramento at Sutter's Fort.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's how he came about.
And Wheatland, I guess they have a placard in Wheatland where that's where they finally got rescued. But we're up there.
Who would have left, yeah.
It snowed. I took them up there. It was mountain conditions.
This weekend it snowed.
Yesterday. So we go up for the
It was only 84 down here, you know.
yeah. First day of summer. Summer starts. Some of the guys even showed up in T-shirt and shorts. You know, they came right from Sacramento, out of the apartments, and wore sneakers. I told them, too, wear mountain attire. You know, they get up there. It's 50 degrees. Beautiful mountain stuff. Oh, yeah. But we get into the hike, and all of a sudden, dark clouds.
I'm cold.
And snow. It was a snow squall. Sal.
Crack of thunder. Everyone's like, huh? That's my imagination, surely. Right?
No, loud bursts of thunder.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I just took it as a good omen, and that's what you want. That's the historic Donner weather, right?
Shawnee was like back then when they were there.
Yeah, it was for those people.
And now it was in the summer. Imagine the storm that hit in the winter. I think it snowed 10 feet in one night when they got snowed in, the Donner Party. But, yeah, you see the power. And then this morning I look on Instagram, and I guess it caused a huge storm on Lake Tahoe. 6 to 8 foot waves.
Wow.
8 foot wave.
And it capsized a boat, and 6 people died. 2 people are missing. So imagine.
That was this weekend?
That was yesterday.
What?
So imagine, first day of summer, your buddy's got a boat. We're going to go drink in Tahoe.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, a storm and bang, and then multiple people die.
But that's 2025. Imagine back then when you know the Donner family and all them, they no technology then, and what it was like, with the winter time and stuff. Oh,
That was my pep talk to the group before we left. I'm like, respect the mountain. The mountain will kill you.
I'm sure there was no cell reception back then either. I mean,
Oh,
it
yeah.
must have been-
Yeah, no lighters.
Right.
You know.
man.
No
Hey,
Instagram.
Bobby.
No jackets like what we have now. Heated socks.
Oh,
But enough about the the
Donald
treasures
Bobby.
of NorCal.
Right.
But yeah, Reno. We were up in Reno, and we were kind of finishing a double back-to-back with Berto. Berto won a couple of belts, including the IKF National Super Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
But in the ring, these two super heavyweights broke the ring.
Yeah, they did.
Didn't break any records, but they broke the ring.
It was his opponent Berto weighed in at 253. His opponent weighed in at 383, wasn't he? 3?
Yeah, 3 something.
Yeah, it was over 500 pounds in there, 600 pounds, and it's not the first time I've seen it happen. But they look like the last time I seen it happen. The guys didn't look too much in shape, But you can't judge a fighter by his physical. But these guys looked both like they were in shape and everything, and didn't think that was going to happen, and it
A lot of
happened.
mass testing.
Were you at the
stretches.
Legend show in the Bay Area where they broke the ring? Those two heavyweight guys fell
No.
through the ring? Through the ring?
Unbelievable.
Almost in the same exact spot. Then.
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, when we saw Berto's opponent on the poster, we're like, how big could he be? You fought Dean, he's 400 pounds, But then we get to the event, and we see this guy, and he's big. He's like almost 300 pounds. When we got in the ring, he was fast.
He was.
And not all super heavyweights have good hand speed, and he did. So I always have Berto cautious in the early rounds because these super heavyweights can spark
But that
you.
was basically
he
all that
he
guy
weighed a
had was
lot,
hands.
and he looked like he was big. But when Berto got up next to him and stuff, they looked almost the same size.
Yeah.
They looked pretty damn near matched up. And Berto was, I think, a little bit faster than him.
We've noticed that a lot. Is Berto for his weight division is extremely fast, great mobility, and kind of like a Rocky Marciano type with these big bodies.
Right.
And I'm banking on that. He hasn't scored big knockouts. He's been winning a lot on points, but man, he's putting a boxing lesson on these guys.
A win's a win.
But man, going into the broken board, so we had shut the guy out in my opinion, in most people's opinions, and then the board broke, and they stopped the fight after the 4th round, and me and you, we were huddled up and like arguing about what was going to happen. Mr. Fields, Gene, what do you do in that situation?
Well, you'd have to go to the scorecard. I mean, depending on the time that it takes to fix it, if it's anything over a certain specific time, I think you give him, I don't know, what we give him an hour to fix it, and it took him an hour and a half, if not longer, to fix it.
2.5 hours to fix it.
2.5 hours. I mean, you can't go back to the fight. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. There's just too much span in between. So you go to the scorecard.
My personal opinion, I would have given him 15 minutes. That's, a 15-minute break. That's plenty of time to get, if you can get the ring
the
fixed and all
match.
that time, then yeah, okay,
But
we can go
2.5
back.
hours
But
that's
even though
outlandish.
that gives him time to rejuvenate, get his strength back, he might not be able to get a knockout in that 5th round. So, it flies up both ways, too. But yeah, with the athletic commission and stuff and their rules, they give a 30-minute time limit on that one.
It's an interesting problem, and it doesn't happen that much.
No.
But I was screaming, go to the scorecards.
Yeah,
Because,
you have to. I mean, it's ridiculous. 2.5 hours. I mean, well, why would you go back to the fight? Would that make? I mean, any professional, anywhere, that would not be allowed.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
and just as the coach, I felt like, we were up clearly.
Yeah.
The judges and the Muay Thai purist watching would accept that decision. There was enough rounds
I
to
think
really
it was
see.
agreeable all the way around.
Yeah, and then after the 3rd round, Berto really opened it up, and this guy was in the red. He was
his
fatigued,
hands were hanging. He
and
was
Berto
slowing
need
down.
him 5-6 times unanswered, and they had a full recovery period. So I'm watching him; he's completely gassed, and they stopped the fight. I'm like, He
So,
gets a
like-
full recovery. That changes the
Right.
fight.
So, like, if there was a technical foul, something like that, they would always have to go to the scorecards. I don't understand why they wouldn't use that in the same rules as making it as let's go to the scorecards, because give them that much time.
Not to put blame on anybody. I just don't understand why they waited so long.
But but it's old school rules. You know, Nevada's rules are a little bit different than California, and we had to go by Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Right.
And they had the commission there, and they were watching, and he understood too completely. He goes, I would let them, go to the scorecards, but we have to follow. He called the head commissioner of Nevada and made sure that we were doing the right things and stuff. And that's all we want to do is make sure we got it the right way, made sure it was fair.
Go by the rules, and they're very strict. They're very strict. Nevada's, they are on point as far as athletic commissions go, but they are very strict with everything they do.
They have to have one of the oldest athletic commissions.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I've dealt with those guys since '93, and which is amazing was every time we go to Vegas, they come to the show too because they have to have, and they're like, "Hey Gene, we remember you from back in the K1 days, and you still look great." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool because you guys don't,
I was just like, man, what are the chances if they restart the fight in the 5th round, the guy gets a full recovery and then knocks Berto out?
See, that's the thing right there. And the freakish things can happen. And
so as the manager trainer, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
but
No,
we
I
got
agree
it
with
done.
you 100%.
The right guy won,
Right.
and then you guys did a great job, and it was a good learning experience. So basically, they said 30 minutes, I believe, or an hour.
Yep.
Right, 30
so we
minutes.
were literally watching our clock tick away.
No, I was watching it on my phone as well, and I kept it right to the second. I would not let it go past because I didn't think it would be fair to you guys or them and the spectators as well.
It was a scene. They were both retreated back to the locker room. They're sitting with like a towel and like ice on.
Yeah.
It was like a movie.
And then the other gentleman, I can't remember his name. He had his daughter with him and his wife and everything. They're all sitting there cuddled up, praying and doing all kinds of stuff. I was like, okay, I like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely a scene.
Reno. I love Reno. Another gem of the area.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't get to do any gambling. Next time, speaking of commissions and the doubleheader, right before then, we were in Seattle.
Oh, nice.
For Berto has one of the super heavyweight belts up there. So, and I'd never fought in Washington or had fighters go up there. So I was interested to see the promotion, the athletic commission, everything, kind of how it was run, and it was crazy.
It's like a Wild Wild West almost.
There was no commission. The promoter told me the promoter was responsible for making the rules and the weight class.
I was up there, I think, was it with a guy, one of my fighters, in Seattle. I think it was in Seattle, and this was in 697. And like you said, man, like it went up there with this promoter, and it's like, okay, do we need to do now? You don't need to do no paperwork. Well, what about medicals? It's all taken care of. Well, how'd you take care of? We do everything. It's all good. Boom, boom, boom. It was interesting, but I never saw any commission.
So Legends Promotion, it was well run, and the martial artists and gyms up there are great. They have great martial art lineage up in the Northwest,
Oh, yeah.
and thank goodness because they got to match people up, or someone's going to get hurt. But I saw debut fights with no pads. I saw amateur Muay Thai with MMA gloves with no other padding.
Because it's not regulated, that's why.
Also, Berto's fight against Hench Tongsai, he had fought professionally, and we know that. We knew that going in, but they allowed the amateur versus and they originally wanted to do it with MMA gloves.
And they allow the Amis versus fighting pros.
And they wanted to and they were pressuring us, even though we were the champions. They were trying to pressure us to do MMA glove rules with this guy who'd fought in Thailand and all this stuff for free. And I was just like, what? I was like, this isn't 1FC. Like, amateur Muay Thai, they're going to wear gloves, and it's still dangerous.
Right.
So I was really surprised by that. Also, they were fighting in a cage. They were fighting. So it was like a full 1FC type of setting, but it was with amateur athletes. So surprising. But the promoter told me that the commission's coming. And I even saw Patrick Valor with the WBC team.
Who'd you see there?
Valor.
Oh.
Yeah. But, I guess that's probably the next market,
Right.
for Muay Thai, because I know Oregon has a lot.
Right. I know in the state of California that Andy Foster will not let a kickboxing match happen in the cage.
Right.
That's one of his biggest rules.
But just the difference between two states,
Yeah.
compared to what we have here in California.
Oh, well, that's not just there. I mean, there's these other states where there's no sanctioning, and they do their own controlling, and you don't hear about it, but there's stuff going on. Like, I mean,
Texas.
Yeah, Texas, but I'm not going to say any place in particular because I don't want to, implicate anything. But
Sure.
it goes on, and some of it is extremely dangerous. Like the new bare knuckle that's out. I don't say it's new because it's been around for a long time. It's just now that it's out more out. Yeah, mainstreaming it out in the public. Extremely dangerous. Extremely
dangerous.
It's like anything else. It's what the people love. They like this gladiator thing, and I've been doing this for over 50 years now. It's going to be for over 55 years for me. And I mean, if I didn't love it so much and respect it so much, I'd be working at Walmart, But it's just, but I look at it and I see how things have changed. And this is like full circle for me, back working with the commission and working with IKF, and from the beginning, starting as a student and then being a fighter and then being a trainer and then being a manager and then having one of the top fighters in the world go into K1 and going all the way through and working with the athletic commission and then getting out because of the politics and getting into IKF because it was more open, and then working with my son, which I regret in the long run. But, I mean, you couldn't ask for more than that, but you see so much change. And you two, I've known you for like ever, and you see this revolving, it's like a yin and a yang, but it's supposed to be in a good way, but it's not always going in a good way because politics gets involved, and that's what screws everything up.
It's very interesting that you say that, and you have a lot of experience. You've worn many hats in the fight business. Where do you see the trajectory of where this is going?
I mean, it's whatever appeals to the masses at the moment.
Sure.
It's like, at one time kickboxing, K1 was righteous, and now that's faded out, and it's glory. And glory is really steadfast because Europeans love that shit. Mm-hmm. And then one FC is just outstanding as far as, competition goes. You want to see the best fighters in the world.
But then you got the UFC monopolizing, buying Strikeforce, WEC,
Exactly.
buying them all out, and then shutting them down, and now it's only UFC. It's like...
No, there's nothing. UFC is good in all its good points, but it's one thing to glut something. You can have too much of a good thing, and then it's like it becomes mundane. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so much of it. Where are those in particular good Tito Ortiz or the Randy Coutures or, those type of guys who are out there anymore? There's just so much of a changeover and so many newbies coming in, which is good to have newbies, but where's the nurturing of these guys? The building up, and I don't know. Maybe I'm too old school.
The game needs you. We need the veterans, and I talk about it all the time, to giving back and being involved at the foundational level, the judging, the officiating. And
it's tough. That's the real tough part, is being a good judge, being a good official, and being fair.
But, man, the team we have down here, and, again, being able to compare it to different parts of the country, outstanding. Thank you for your service.
Hey,
and
we appreciate that, believe me.
But in the even the size, the viewership, like we're up there that was a legit top 10 super heavyweight fight up there. Very small turnout. We went to the PMT at Shadow Pack Promotions in Sacramento. You weren't there, huh?
Yeah.
Were you there?
Yeah.
My head was spinning.
We were too
Packed
fucked
up.
up.
We had 183 competitors.
Yeah.
But you couldn't even walk in that place.
Crazy,
the excitement and growth of Muay Thai.
PMT's a good thing.
Someone was saying, make American Muay Thai great again. I was like, when has it ever been greater than now? It's bigger than ever.
Right.
And then those little mat level shows is showing, and that's the future. And
That's like what you just said is true. Like these little PMTs, I believe that they're a good start because, like, I'm doing them on the 28th of September and then October 5th and then November 6th. It's a good ground. I try to do them before the big shows because it gives a sparring ground for these guys to get out and get a little action a couple weeks before the actual fight, and it's controlled and it's safe, and then boom, they can come out and do their fight and they're ready, because you can only spar so much in your own gym and be ready, and it's good to get a couple extra different fights to get
Real
out there.
stimulation.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's good.
well, I was a hater. When the PMT first came around,
I have my doubts.
I was a hater because we were used to the smoker shows, which were really legit in NorCal, Bay Area. We had
yeah,
great
Anu Fob
smokers,
shows.
Anna Fob and Crew Sam.
Oh, yeah.
So when they monopolized it. I was like, what is this? You know, the hater stuff. But I've been a huge fan and using the PMT ever since. In the last show, I had my biggest team ever with 17. And again, Sal's...
Well, then I'll expect that when I see you.
And it's just feeding the excitement and all the hard work that's going into the gym.
does.
And not everyone's going to fight in the ring. Not everyone's going to take the pads off. This lets them get out there.
A feeling with somebody else to see, hey, it's
But
not always that guy in the gym who's going to give you that break. Here's
But it's
somebody
not
else
just
who's
it's not just
as
the feeling
hungry.
of the fight though. You got the feeling of the crowd that's
Oh,
out
yeah.
there cheering them on too, because those places get packed.
Oh, yeah.
They get really packed. You know, we did that. We did our last show up in El Cerrito at a PMT out there, and we had a guy that was almost your height fighting a guy that was almost Sal's height. And
It's great.
I had a gentleman. He was, he's just watching. He's over here watching and stuff, and he's getting mad. And then I announced the winner, and next thing I know, I see a hat come flying by me. I'm all, what the heck was that?
He was
This guy was,
pissed off.
and he's just cock diesel, and he's just pissed. I'm like, hey, what's the issue? Why are you mad? He's all, well, that guy's a lot taller than my guy. I go, but we go by weight here. We don't go by height. And he was a foreigner. He didn't speak English too well, and I'm trying to explain to him, and he just got in my face, and he was and I've been doing the PMTs for a while, so I try to get a good rapport with everybody. Well, he's in my face. Next thing I know, he's pissed off, and he looks up, and he turns around and walks out. I look up. I'm like, what the heck? I look behind me, and I have the whole crowd and everybody behind me just like, hey. And I'm just talking to him just like this. I'm like, hey, there's no problem, bro. He's just a little bit taller than him, and he was holding him and just
People's
doing what he
emotions-
wanted to because he had the
you
reach
see
and he
it.
knew how to use it.
The fight crowd is always emotional, and this
But
guy.
I just tried to explain to him, and back in the day when I was younger, it wouldn't have been like that because I was a lot rougher. And now that when I hold the title that I'm at now, I've had to learn, hold back and not be so angry. And
'Cause I don't wanna get
everybody's
fired.
learning. Everybody's learning. It's a learning experience for everybody, not just
Totally.
the fighters, but the officials, the coaches, the fans, everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to mention to everybody and let them know.
Man, people were crashing out at the last one. And people do too much. Between the fighters, the coaches, the crowd, the PMT, it can get lit, almost
Yeah.
like a Pop Warner football game in
Oh, yeah.
Texas.
Oh, yeah, great.
You
Even
got fights
parents.
in the, but you know what? Muay Thai always has that respect element in the crowd. I haven't seen anything outlandish happen where it's disrespect towards other gyms. This is very competitive, and yeah, everyone's learning, including like what's okay to how to cheer.
Right.
And how
People
much.
Muay Thai, so they cheer at anything. They
Yeah.
don't care. Guy drop his glove. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But boxing or other sports, the cheering can be directed at the competitor. Like screw that little guy.
Right.
Yeah. No, you don't get that.
You know what I mean? Like the insulting.
Yeah,
like
you hear your
uh,
corner go, fuck him up and all that kind of stuff, but it's never opposite directing to the other guy.
But yeah, the excitement there, that's part of the show.
Yeah.
And it's part of the adrenaline. My fighters, when they do PMT, they're putting in a real training camp. It's a dangerous sport.
It is.
And then we want to display Muay Thai, so the pressure's on them, and that makes it fun. When you do something difficult, it's redeeming.
Especially when we're specific with them. A lot of them get in there and they think, oh, it's just a sparring thing. I'm going to punch my way out of this. I explain to them, I say, listen, if you want to box, you're going to get nowhere doing this. Because boxing basically to me is like 1 point. You throw a kick, then it's, that's worth, I think, 2 points. A good knee, that's like 3 points. And I mean, we've discussed this before, a good tee put down could be 3. As long as he goes down and you don't, you go with him, it's nullified. I go, so you got to think of the accumulation of points to build up. If you're just going to try to box, don't expect to win.
Yeah.
This is not the boxing thing. This is Muay Thai. You have to display what you know in Muay Thai.
Within Muay Thai, though, there's that Muay mat style where it is heavy hand forward.
With combinations.
Sure.
It's not just, a lot of these guys just try to box it out.
Just
You
head
don't
hunting.
see a kick, you don't see a knee, nothing. To me, you're not going to get it. If the other guy just throws kicks and you throw punches, even if he's shitty on the kicks, he's going to outscore you.
Yeah, sure.
So this is a point thing. You got to remember, this is a point thing.
It's good to hear this context.
And I look at technique and I look at balance and what goes through it, and the less a corner has to tell you, I think, the better the fighter you are, and I've always believed in that, because when you got a corner screaming at a guy to do stuff, why you didn't train him? He didn't know what to do now, so you got to tell him now what to do, and plus his opponent is hearing you tell him what to do. common sense. You know, that's why I used to get ridiculed because I never yelled out to my friend, I gotta fuck him up and all that shit. They go, you don't say nothing. I go, that's right. If you don't know what to do now, then what the fuck am I doing here?
It's funny you say that because I'm warming the guys up in the back with pads, and then I'm looking around at all the other pad holders, and I'm hearing things that are said. I'm like, huh, you guys didn't iron these out?
Too late.
Yeah.
Too late for that.
The last minute shit don't fly, man. You can't run once you're in that ring, you know.
Now, in the past, I've been one of those. I'm known for being one of the craziest, most passionate coaches. And me and you, I've butted heads with the IKF officials so many times. Even Chris, I've messaged Chris after shows like, bro, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he
like,
shows me. We laugh all the
no
time,
disrespect. I just felt like we won that shit, and you know, I feel like one of those old baseball managers kicking dirt.
But you're not the only coach. I get it after every show. I get 3 or 4 phone calls, maybe 5 or 6 sometimes. You know, and I tell them, you know,
you wanted the position.
But I've learned. I've changed.
Right.
Did you see my behavior?
No, yeah,
last
you've grown.
Exactly.
You learned to keep your mouth shut.
Saying
cool.
that, like I was saying before, like, you know, before I would have stood up and like, all right, let's do this right now. But now I've learned to lower my voice and just talk to somebody.
Well, there's etiquette
and
involved.
You know, you gotta have
Well, I came over. I was like, "Whoa, this and this," and you know what? We scored, and you were like, "It's a PMT," and I was like, "Fair enough."
Right, that's right. we can. Those of us who know most of each other or can relate on that level know how to keep each other on that plane. You know, because it's pointless to jump in each other's face because, hey, been doing this too long. Where's that going to get you? Absolutely.
Like I used to butt heads with Reno a lot back in the day when he used to fight and unpacking stuff.
We're very similar.
And, you know, exactly. He has the same passion as I do. We all have that same passion. We want good for the sport. And once he realized the passion that I have, because he didn't know who I was. He just thought I was just some Joe off the street trying to be an official. And once they realize that they know that I have that passion for the sport, then the whole everything changes. You know, it's like, oh, okay, you know, he's been around for a long time. He knows what the heck he's talking about. He does really love the sport, and I do. And you know, I have 3 kids, and I have a granddaughter and a wife at home that I leave almost every weekend because of the fights, you know. And I don't just do full contact IKF. I do ISCF, point MMA, and then I do the PMTs as well. I do the PMTs.
You get busy.
And then if I'm not doing that, I help Nico out with putting the ring together, and I try to be at all events, WBC, ISKA, whatever, WACO, wherever's there, I'm there, you know. And I love being there to support the fighters.
Now, I heard you were going to retire.
No.
Yeah, I heard, and I saw you get promoted recently. So I'm like, thank God, because we need you guys in the IKF team is tight.
Well, I think
it was in my head. It was very much in my head because you know I have other life things going on and stuff, and you know, and it was a little tough a couple years ago, especially during COVID and right before Steve passed away, and then when Steve passed away, I ended up getting promoted, and it helped out a little. It helps out a little bit, actually quite a bit for work wise and stuff. Because I have a landscaping company, I do landscaping during the day and stuff, but
I really I feel like
you
the
don't make
IKF's
money
strong.
in this business. You know, people think you're making money unless you're the commission. You're not making any money in this business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nickels and dimes. You know, you're lucky if you get
like
gas
when we go,
money.
like when we do Reno and Vegas, is all it's all volunteer. It's all volunteer. When we do like the World Classic
and we've done it
and the West
year,
Coast Classic and all that.
I love that. That's just passion for the game.
It is.
Well, we do that because we started with Steve, and even though he isn't here, we do it for Steve.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting. The IKF headquarters is probably 12 miles up the road.
Yeah.
You know, Fossum's old gym. It's still there.
No, it is.
And you know what? I run into the Fossum ladies at my local 7-Eleven.
Okay.
Tony I'll be picking up a beer. Yeah, they stop by there to get
They're buying
ices.
cosmetics.
Slushies.
They
Fallon loves her slushies.
Yeah. And then I'm the neighborhood guy. I'm getting my 40.
So you know, like before Tony took over, she was there, but she was always like in the background. You know, she had a very quiet voice. But once Steve passed away and she took over, she really stepped up. She really stepped up big time. She had to, you know. And Fallon, she was a young lady, and you know, I'm like, I'm like her uncle, you know, and I told her before, and if she ever has a boyfriend or anything like that, like, you know, I'm a Marine too at the same time, I'm a veteran, so I told her, you know, you ever get a boyfriend, he ever hurt you, I'm gonna cut his effing balls off. There's no, you know, I'm looking out for your dad. Your dad's not here, so I have to do that. And like I said at his funeral, Steve's not here now. I have to look out for Northern California and for our fighters and to keep the IKF running as best way he would do it. And that's what I'm just trying to do, is follow in his footsteps. And he has some big shoes to fill.
Well, the whole team's been doing great, and I know right after that things got real crazy.
Yeah.
And
It did.
you know, things within the state and everything, and you guys have just been tight and a real pleasure to work with. But I wanted to talk about, you guys mentioned a lot there, you know, and you guys have a long history and background. Can you guys, let's talk about your guys' origin in martial arts. Gene, you go back the furthest.
just a little bit.
Take his.
I just killed it.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
There we go. You're
You're
back.
back.
But yeah,
Oh,
I was
people.
so excited. I pulled my ears out.
Thank God we got the
For
headphones
people-
because he's hard of hearing.
Well,
you
for
know.
people that don't know, you know, tell us a little bit about your involvement in the sport and.
My
yeah.
dad was in motion picture business, and he had dealt with shows like Green Hornet, you know, and I Dream of Jeannie and Beverly Hillbillies and Bewitched and all these different shows. But Green Hornet was my favorite because I go down to the set and I'd watch all the time, and there was this old guy down there with his orange hair. And I always asked my dad, well, who's this kid always over here watching? And this guy happened to be Gene LaBelle. And he goes, well, that's my son, blah, blah, blah. He's a big pussy or whatever. And he said, well, I'll work with him. Because I was getting my ass whooped up on the bus. Because back in those days, it was a little bit different. Little Jewish kid coming on the bus and get caught up. And kids, because I was a Tourette's baby, so I had tics.
Huh.
And they picked on me a lot. So I was a stage 4 Tourette's baby. And I mean, it was almost uncontrollable.
You don't have it anymore.
Oh, I still got it.
He does.
Don't start shit with me, man.
he does
So-
this.
Yeah, I twitch outs. But anyways, so he started training me, and that was my first instructor. And it was great because I remember going to his place, and we go in the basement, and he had this pink gi on. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. He goes, what did you say? And I said, well, the pink gi. I go, that's kind of funny. He goes, really? And he fucking grabbed me, and he threw my ass down and locked me up. He goes, when you can get out of this, that's when the first lesson will begin. Well, they held me there for like an hour or so. And I mean, I thought we were done. That was it. Brought me back the next day. Boom, same thing. Down. This went on for about 2 months. I was getting fucking thrashed. Finally learned how to crawl out. He goes, now you're getting it. And that's where my first training started, was with him.
The pink gi.
Yeah, well, he was doing all the choreography for Bruce Lee for the Green Hornet
Wow.
show, you know, which was pretty badass. And I'd see Bruce, but I had no idea who he was, you know. And he waved, you know, do his shit. And I was like, wow, pretty cool Asian dude, man.
That's awesome. That's very interesting. Was that down in L.A.?
Yeah, this all started there. And then from there, I hooked up with a guy named Emil Farkas, who was a Israeli martial artist, Shotokan martial artist out of the studios. His big thing was he was taught all the women who were fighting in martial arts in all the films. He was their choreographer. Hooked up with him through another one of my friends, studied with him for a while. I got my brown through Gene LaBelle for judo, studied with Emil until I got my black in Shotokan. From there, hooked up with another guy in Santa Monica because I was interested in Kung Fu. I thought it was really neat because I saw a demonstration at one time. And I just thought karate was cool, but it was so rigid, you know, it was really rigid. Forms and all that were just not my thing. And hooked up with that guy and started getting in with there and worked with Doc Phai Wong here in the Bay Area. Fred Spencer, I don't know if you remember Fred Spencer out in the Bay Area here. And a few other really, really cool Kung Fu fighters, and then doing those basement fights in the Bay Area, man, where they put the little white boy up against the Asian guys to see where he could stand, and that's where I really started getting into full contact.
What year was that?
Oh, geez, oh my God.
80s.
80s?
No. Yeah, 80s, we're talking 80s.
I remember he'd come home and he'd have a belt wrapped around his waist because he couldn't breathe.
My
'cause
ribs,
his ribs were
be
broken.
busted and shit.
Nose would
Next
be all
weekend,
crooked.
I'd be back out there fighting again because it was just that's the way it was. You know, it was cool. You earned your respect on that floor. You didn't command it. You couldn't ask for it. You couldn't buy it. If you didn't get it on that floor, you didn't get it. You know.
Just such an early era in American martial arts. My dad's a Kung Fu martial artist. and my dad's born in Oakland, so it comes from the
it's
same
tough in there.
same root as Bruce Lee.
Those guys were all, I mean, they trained hardcore, and that was how you trained. It was you didn't pull the punch. If you couldn't take the punch, then you shouldn't fucking be there.
They were doing all kinds of weird training.
Oh, yeah.
Punch the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And remold your knuckles with herbs.
Start with the dit da jow, using the dit da jow. Start with the sand. Start with the steel beads. Going in with BBs, hitting the bricks. I was breaking
stick fighting.
I started in '84 at King de Guan, and my master was Dana Carter, and our grandmaster was Master Cho Hee Park from Korea. And Dana was this big old Indian guy. He was probably about 6'8". 280 pounds, just big.
Huge.
I seen a guy call him a bitch one time. He grabbed him by the top of his head and just throw him. It was during our testing for to advance on your belts. Well, he loved me and my dad for some reason, but he had a bamboo sword and would beat us every single day with it, doing push-ups. I was younger, so he wouldn't take it out on me as much. But we'd go home afterwards, and my dad would be all bloody on his ribs and his shins and everything because he would beat the hell out of us all the time with it. When you punch, he had a thin pad on the wall for you to punch and kick. And there was a brick wall. It was like brick and mortar, like straight cement. There was no.
And if it didn't slap when you punched it, when he hit the wall, he'd fucking.
And that's when I started. And I started doing IMACF, GSKA, Golden State Karate Association. It was all the point karate and stuff, basically the full contact karate.
But they had continuous sparring, and that's what.
That's what I did. Yeah. And from '94 to '97, I was a California state champion doing the PAL leagues though. It wasn't nothing major, nothing like that. But they give out belts and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm the PAL champion, And I used to whoop butt all the time. It was fun, enjoyable.
Imagine opening a gym and using that type of training approach these days.
You better have some good insurance.
That was the biggest thing about our gym. If you didn't leave with a bloody nose or broken bone or something, you shouldn't be training there.
Weak-hearted.
It was hardcore.
No canceling the membership.
Right? No, exactly. That's how it was.
Yeah. What membership?
Yeah, we're gonna tithe you.
That little thing you saw in your blood.
Your warm up was doing 50 leg kicks to each other, starting off.
I was telling the guys in here, like 90s era kickboxing, no music, no talking during training.
102 degrees in here.
Yeah, you had to bow in at the front door.
That's right.
You had to sign your attendance card, and if you didn't come in for 2 weeks, they would call you at home or at work.
Mm-hmm. Where are you?
Let's bring that back up.
I've gotten that call.
Yeah,
Sal, where the hell are you?
It's not like that anymore. Things are
like my
changed,
friends would come over during the summertime, and I'd want to hang out with them. My parents are like, no, you're going to the gym. Get your ass in the car. Let's go. My friends are like,
you signed a contract. How are you going to get your yellow belt at the end of the year?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not here,
right? And
but now this is the land of entitlement, and it's just,
now I can't even get my 12-year-old son off the damn couch to playing PlayStation or whatever. I'm like, come on, man, you want to fight? You say you want to, but
no, I love it.
You want to get in training.
I'm still one of the grumpiest trainers. I'm just
it's good.
It's
people, good because
it's
if
refreshing.
You don't have that, you're not really.
It brings the Marine Corps back in me too. I get out there, I'm like,
Hey, what's the old saying? They say nice guys come in last. That's no lie. That's no lie. Because you look at the way it is now today, times the way things are. You go, like at the last show when we were in Oakland at Legend Show, right? Him and me were doing front. We did weigh-ins and all that jazz. We're standing by the front door. Who was that guy who pulled up in his car?
Brendan Mishler from Reno. He wasn't even there for 15 minutes. Walked in to check and make sure this is the weigh-ins.
And there's this guy riding up and down the street on the bicycle, looking in cars, rolls up to his car, pops the windows out, stole all the shit out of the car.
His pads, everything.
Unbelievable.
Now, he wasn't even there for 15 minutes.
Now, think if you would have went after that guy, what would happen? You remember what happened to our friend at Fairtex?
Yeah, no good.
Who ran out because, what was that, an accident in the
Gong,
street?
Alex Gong.
Yeah, Alex ran out, and then that guy ended up shooting him. I mean, see, people do not value life, and that's the whole thing. It's too easy to pull that fucking trigger. It's too easy. To me, unless you've got somebody else aiming back at you, that's bullshit.
And realizing that a lot of people you run into out there these days, even though they have a driver's license and probably have a job, aren't all there.
Yeah.
You know, you can't count on them to make rational decisions.
No, not at all. The road rage, people go nuts and do that.
I mean, you get all these kids who
shit.
play these video games that think they're, Grand Theft Auto,
Oh,
think they're
infallible.
badass and carry a gun with them and don't even know how to use it and end up shooting their friend or something, or shooting themselves.
Yeah, we're trying to
Man.
change that. We're trying to
We
normalize.
We try.
rational
Because
behavior.
this is where you can change it, man. You can take care of it this way instead of this way.
Yeah.
He was a camp supervisor for
I worked for
Modesto
the
City
school
Schools for
district.
30 years.
And I see,
Trying
I've
to
seen
got a
it
lot of kids
all.
in there.
I mean, I've disarmed psychos, and I mean, I'm glad I retired when I did because the school district did not give a shit. It was all about, well, nobody needs to know about this because what it's going to create, and if those kids don't go to school, we don't have money and get butts in the seats, so that means no money for the district. So we covered up a lot of shit. And yeah, that was Modesto City Schools. I'm not afraid to say that because they're dirty.
Yeah.
They were dirty, but they're not the only school district who did that. There was shit, snipers on the roof and stuff, and you don't talk about that. So you go, oh my God, yeah, it was happening. Shit was happening. Finding cameras in the ducts in the building. Well, where'd this come from? Where'd the little white vans come up in the middle of the night and pull all that shit out when it was reported? Teachers, fucking students, teachers on drugs in class. I had a teacher who dropped a bottle of Oxycontins, 100 Oxycontins in there, got 2 of them back. Wow. Where'd the other 98 go?
Sadly, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
No,
it's-
but it's sad stuff like that goes on. That's why these kids are like the way they are.
Yeah.
If this damn school district doesn't give a shit, it just give a damn about what kind of money they get in. They don't care about the students. Very few. There's some good teachers out there. Granted, you got to be a special kind of person to be a teacher nowadays, because you've got no rights.
Ah.
And it's like us, you guys in here. You're creating a foundation of goodness, a real foundation. You can recognize someone who's doing it for a reason, and then those are doing it because they need it. And those who need it really deserve it. And those who want to use it as something, that's a whole other world there.
Yeah, we're getting great results here.
I've heard nothing but good stuff about your place.
Right, good martial art training is going to help build character and develop the skills, the virtues you need to be successful in life as an adult.
Exactly.
Raises self-belief and self-value.
And with all that being said, with the WBC and ISKA and WACO coming in, I feel like it's like a McDonald's, Burger King type of thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at nobody. I'm loyal to the IKF. I will never leave the IKF. I will never go anywhere else. Yeah, I know. I would love to help them out, but there's issues going on between it, and I don't want to conflict of interest with anybody. But I will help a fighter out or a coach out and give them a little bit of advice. And if I see somebody there that needs help, of course I'm going to help them out. But like I said, like I tell everybody else, it's like a McDonald's, Burger King type of thing. You have your choice. You're going to go where you want to go. We can't stop you from going anywhere else.
We're not going to try to either.
And yeah, exactly. But we're going to do the best we can to help you out and do the best shows that we can and provide the best officials that we can do and the safety.
We let you make
our
that
biggest
decision.
thing is safety for everybody as well, and that's where I'm at. I'm not trying to get in the political game like, oh, WBC this or ISKA that. No, I don't care. I'll go to their shows. I'll sit there front row and watch with them.
And we do.
And I have no problem with that. And I don't have no problem with them coming to our shows and watching,
We charge them.
And California, we should be a big happy family. And we're
You
kind of
should
try to work with each other a little bit, and
We
that's
should
all I
be.
feel. But it is what it is, I try not to get up into the political and all that stuff.
Sure.
I try and stay mutual with everybody and keep it friendly, and that's the way it should be, I think. But everybody has their own agendas.
I think competition's always good.
It is.
In any kind of
It is.
business.
Right.
Everyone levels up.
Good competition.
Yeah. Oh, right. Healthy competition.
Healthy competition.
I always found it interesting. For a while there, the main sanctioning body in California was the IKF.
Right.
The ISKA disappeared for a while.
For a long time.
Well, see, they were all back east, and there was like a semi-agreement that you guys did your thing on this side of the Rockies, and we did our thing on our side of the Rockies, and we don't influence. But if you wanted to do something, it was cool. It was cool. But like you said, once after Steve left, things changed because they felt there was a weakness in the wave. And that's where it was tough for Tony, because I don't believe anybody respected her in the beginning, and still have a hard time doing it, and that's what's tough for her. So that's why we back her play 100%, because, hey,
she's stepping up.
Yeah,
nobody knew who she was.
You're going to respect
Nobody
her one
knew.
way or the other.
Oh, you're Steve's wife. Nice to meet you. You're Steve's wife.
And I can
Now
understand
she's
that 100%, because
president.
my wife went through the same thing when I'm running the gym. Well, that's just Gene's wife. But she was doing most of the work. I was just, the namesake, basically, so she needs as much. So she ran the gym for a long time after I retired. But anyways, it was the same type of trip, and you've got to have that,
I'll tell you right now, Tony, she's a workhorse. She's always they barely sleep, and then they sleep at the office most of the time because they're trying to take care of all the paperwork and all that. 'Cause Steve never really went home; he was always at the office, and for her to step up in his shoes and do what she's doing, I give her high praises.
For him being such a workaholic, and now she's doing it. Plus,
I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want her job at all. No way. I barely want my job where I'm at, but I got to do what I got to do for the sport,
So talk about your role with the IKF. What is your exact position?
So I am the lead IKF official for the Northern California. I'm in charge of all the judges, the referees, the inspectors, and everything. And then when a fight happens, I go through all the medical, I go through all the licensing. I got to make sure who's up to date on that, our coaches, everything. I got to prep everything, get all the paperwork ready. It's about 2 weeks prior.
So you work directly below Tony?
Yes. So.
The answer is to no one.
And then in Southern California is Angelica Reyes. And then our head referee for Northern California is Mike Rinaldi. And our head inspector is
Gene Fields. Yes, that's me.
Ain't that right?
King head inspector.
But I started
Northern and Southern
March 13th, 2014 was California IKF's very first show in California as a sanctioning body, and I was there. I was one of the inspectors, along with, I think it was 8 other inspectors, but they were all CSAC inspectors at the time. And yes, we were. It was a conflict of interest. Steve said, hey, we can only have, we can't use CSAC inspectors anymore. And that's when I became, the only inspector in Northern California, and I brought in a bunch of people and worked my butt off ever since then. Steve would ask for something, and it didn't matter what it was. I went and did it for him, and I got him whatever and did whatever he asked for. And I basically worked my butt off to get where I'm at. So.
Well, since you've been working in there, the weigh-ins and the promotions I've been to, they've been some of the smoothest, fastest.
Has been,
and just a pleasure
especially
to get
the
in
guy
and
he has doing the coaches paperwork and the tournament paperwork. If it wasn't for him, it'd be shit.
Well, I try, and I always try and have it prepped before, because I know how it is. I've been on that side where the coaches and the fighters they sit there and they have to wait. And
it can be really.
If they're cutting weight, they're dehydrated, they want to drink, they want to eat. That's why I try and make it as fast and as smooth as possible, and that's why I go through the paperwork beforehand and check and make sure who's licensed and who's not, and who has to do whatever and get it done.
And who comes on time.
Right, and but a lot of fighters like Leno's show, his show, he's one of the greatest promoters ever, because he sends out an itinerary, and a lot of the fighters that fight on his show have fought on that show before, or they've fought before, and if they haven't, they're new guys. But he already makes sure they already have all the paperwork done. It's all ready to go. Nico as well. Nico does a lot of that as well, and I help out Nico because he's close to me. He lives right around the corner from my best friend. I've had my best friend since kindergarten, and I go to his house almost once or twice a week. I'm over there. And Nico lives like not even a block away, so I help him out quite a bit because he's right there, and Nico's a great guy as well. If Leno is in the area, I would be there with him as well. But I have a lot of contact with those guys, and I keep in contact with them to help them. And when they make it easier for me, I make it easier for them, and it makes the show a lot smoother. Exactly, and it makes it easier for coaches and fighters as well.
All Out's a great show.
It is
Stockton, and that's really the next one on the docket.
Next weekend, June 28th,
next weekend,
yeah.
And I believe me and Sal are going to sit in and call some fights that night.
Cool.
I've known Nico for a while, and we worked together on Rising Stars.
Right.
The ring crew.
Yeah.
And they saw us doing some of the commentary work, so.
Yeah, he works a lot with CFS, Glenn and CFS, and they're a good crew too. But they don't do the broadcasts like this. They just do the pay-per-view events. They film and stuff.
They've been doing some great on-scene interview for the upcoming events.
Right.
Going to each location, and those have been great. they've had some other commentators on that show in the past.
Right.
But, yeah, I've kind of been promoting myself as a commentator. I've decided about a year ago I actually want to do that
Nice.
professionally. Like, I want to make some
Right.
money at it. So, yeah, 1FC, Lumpini Stadium. Fly me out. I'll do your show as well.
I want to be an announcer. I love announcing.
I used to do it for amputee strip clubs, and I was great.
So I also co-own Modesto Raiders youth football team in Modesto. My best friend and I do all the announcing for them.
Oh, that's great.
And I loved, like, when there's a touchdown, I'm like, touchdown, Raiders! Or I even do the other team, too.
It's fun.
I get both sides going. I get
hear
the
'em
crowd
all the way
going. I
in
get
Mercedes,
them loud.
so freaking loud.
Yeah.
I love it. And, I've always wanted to just be an announcer, like I did my dad's show and stuff. I have a good time just being loud and like a hype man.
It's part of the
fun.
show. And,
It
and,
is.
and being a...
Well, a good announcer who knows the game makes
Yeah.
all the difference in the world.
And just being a fan and watching Muay Thai, it's like, what else can I do to help?
Yeah.
And then the times I got to sit, I was pretty good at it.
Right.
So I decided, well, the game needs it. Let me try. And then Reno gave me a great opportunity to do head commentary on 2 shows, and I just sunk my teeth into it. But I think between Rising Stars and All Out, that's all I can handle.
It's a good start.
Yeah, but even that...
You can grow from there, man.
But,
Give it a
that's
chance.
why I became an official, too, is because, I couldn't compete anymore. I got injured, and I had a lot of injuries on me, and I was going through a lot of mental stuff.
But I got the gym, too. It's like these dual roles.
Sure.
And that's been a problem. Like, we're not on the next show. Nico, put us on the next show.
Right.
But no, he tried to. The matchups didn't work out, but it's tough. How am I going to do work the TV broadcast and then got guys warming up in the back? I'm going to have to have Sal.
broadcast table.
What's up?
Yeah, I was saying corner from the broadcast table. That'd be real
there you
loud.
go.
I'm just going to leave you on the mic. I'll be like, I'll be back in 15 minutes.
Yeah, Nico's doing big things, too. He's going out all the way to – he's doing some fights in September in Cancun.
Yeah, we were going to try to go to that. That would be a blast.
I'm trying. I'm trying to work on my way getting out there, too. He asked me to go, so –
Great excuse to take the wife and kids to Mexico.
Yeah, no, not the
Take
kids,
who?
just the wife. Kids got to stay home, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
But I enjoy it. I enjoy being in the fight game and being able to watch guys rise from like Aaron Esparza and Eddie Absolillo. I remember watching those guys as amateur, like little amateur guys, and now they're fighting in 1FC, and it's just awesome.
And you wear this hat as the IKF official. What is some challenges that you run into that we don't really see?
Dealing with me.
Well, we knew that.
Having my father though it's hard though. Try and tell your father what to do at an event, like, hey, you got to do this,
Oh,
and
he
this.
doesn't have a hard time with that. He's so full of shit.
No, but because sometimes if they mess up, you got to. I yell. I'll yell
That's
at
the
them,
only
and
thing
then
he didn't
afterwards,
realize I never mess up. So, I mean, when he thinks I mess up.
But just being in charge of making sure the officials are doing the right thing. One of my hardest things though is when judges scores go different ways. Because when a judge sits here and a judge sits here, or here, they see different angles.
That's a common ground between fight gyms and
Oh,
you.
it's everywhere. And then I get that, I have to deal with the coaches afterwards, and I'm like, hey, I don't know what the judge's seen from right there, and I don't know what he's seen from right there, but I know that's what he's seen, and if he's, my judges, they're confident. I'll tell you right now, if you ask them, why'd you score that round 10-9, they'll tell you exactly why. Or why'd you score that fight 30-28 and that judge scored it 28-30? They're going to tell you why. They're not going to give you an excuse, but they're going to tell you exactly why they did it, and they'll be 100% confident, and I'm going to back them 100%, no matter what. Even if the judge is 30-28 and this judge is 28-30 and I thought it was 28-28, doesn't matter what I think. They're the ones that see it, and that's where we stand at, and I'm going to back them 100% with that.
Yeah, and there's been decisions that have been contested. Are these things that are being annotated?
So on fights, whenever say if it's a regular amateur fight, as of 2025, they don't contest it. We don't take it anymore unless it's an IKF title fight. Then you can contest that one. If it's a promotional title fight, depending on how close it is and how many, I can't, trying to think of what the word is for it. But basically how close it is and how, the name, I guess. Say Tony will look into it, and if it looks close enough, or where that person was, this person definitely won that fight, then she's gonna be like, we'll send it out. And what they do when something like that happens, she'll send one tape to one referee or official in another state. She'll send 3 of them out.
Ask for unbiased opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when they watch it, they have to watch it with no sound or nothing like that. They have to watch just complete silence in a room with nobody else around, and then they have to then they score each round, and then they'll send it to her. And that's how she goes through it.
Yeah, that's been a really hot topic recently, is protest, and it seems like more people are trying it.
Right.
And I'd always heard about it, but I'd never known of a title fight that happened, and then they end up reversing the decision.
Right.
The officials that are put in place the night of the fight that have live human vision of the fight, that always trumped any kind of evidence you would see on video.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
I went through
tough.
it. I went through it with the ISKA a little bit, and I understood there was only a couple different parameters that you could contest a fight. You couldn't just disagree with the judges,
Right.
based on opinion. They're officials that have been put there. You signed the paper. You agreed to have them as your officials.
Right.
So if it doesn't go your way, you can't cry about it. But if it was a misscore, like they didn't score the scorecard correctly, like a 10-point must system, there was a foul or maybe a knockdown that
wasn't
they
counted,
brushed off,
right.
or they weren't scoring certain techniques based on the rules of the fight. But you couldn't just say, "Oh, we thought we won," or the crowd thought we won.
No, but you do hear
Right,
that
and that's
a
the
lot.
same with us. There has to be a defined issue with that bout to be
The
An
crowd,
actual issue.
the crowd thing is always hilarious. that excuse,
You hear the
because
crowd, they go wild. A guy falls down and hits the mat. The crowd goes, ah!
but also Muay Thai audience is so biased. Like they'll cheer when their guy missed,
Yeah.
right.
and they will swear they won even when it wasn't close. So
Yeah.
you can't take their word. Also, what if someone's not as popular?
Right.
So your guy sold 80 tickets,
Right.
and of course the crowd was louder, and they're biased, and a lot of them don't really understand Muay Thai.
Right.
So the crowd, the officials are
You'd
trained
be
not-
laying on the mat, and they're going, yeah.
They'll be like, foul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oy!
My guy didn't get knocked out. He wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
He didn't wobble, But the officials are trained not to be influenced by the crowd.
Exactly.
Right.
Even though you are a little bit, but you have to take that into consideration.
No, in all honesty, I will be dead honest. I've never let the crowd influence me in any ways. It was what I strictly based on my own opinion because I knew better. I knew better as in myself how the crowd reacted when I fought a guy and they were just like boom and I beat the shit out of him and he won. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I had 2 guys rooting for me that were drunk and 84 other whatever's rooting for him and he won it. It didn't make any sense. So I swore to myself I would never do that and never let that happen.
And then when I know we have a big fight like that or something, I'll sit down with the judges and tell them, hey, do the best you can. And I don't care what the crowd says, what the coaches say or anything. Make sure you watch that fight. You don't close your eyes. You don't blink. You don't take a drink.
Stay off your
you
phone.
don't look at your phone. Any of that. Just make sure you watch that fight the whole time and give it 110%. That's all that matters to me.
That's why the crowd pays.
Exactly.
They're not
That's right.
judges. They're there to watch.
They're there for the entertainment.
And they're intoxicated.
Yeah.
Especially at our local shows, the IPAs are like 15%. So But I love hearing about the process because I was curious, like, how do they do that? They have to have a video, and then you guys select 3 new IKF officials.
Yes. And they're
Now,
they're not even in the state of California.
No, they're out of
so
state.
they watch it separately.
right,
Yes.
You guys don't meet at your house.
No.
And
No,
sit
no,
down in the front room.
No.
It's
They
got to
have-
be totally
yeah, they
unbiased
have-
opinion.
And I like that. No volume.
No, they're not allowed to have volume.
See, and then no one can say, "Oh, you played favorites because you guys, blah blah blah." No, it was never us guys. It was
Even my commentary is not going to affect the officials.
Well, even like when I have my officials, like if they want
They're
to do
not
some
getting
like
paid for
practicing or they want to do some judging practicing at home and stuff, I tell them, hey, watch fights. Go watch 1FC. You know, they have a lot of good fights in there. Watch Glory, but turn the volume down so you don't hear nothing.
Yeah, you don't need to.
You know,
Man, one is notorious for bad decisions, and watching a lot of knockouts. But yeah, a lot of
Yeah, that's why
hometown
we believe
cooking.
When we watch fights, and rarely, believe it or not, now I rarely watch fights, but when I do, I never listen to them. Always completely down, and I judge it how I feel, regardless of who wins or what I think.
But I've done the wacko training. I've gone through their official training and stuff. And for you to dispute a fight there, you have to do it within like an hour or 2 hours. You have to pay a special fee, a certain fee, and it has to be. And if they approve it, then your fee will get. I mean, they already got to take your fee, but it's a process with them. You have to do it within so much time, and if you don't, then they're not going to even accept it, or you're not even be able to do your protest. So each organization is different, though. You know, I'm not sure exactly how all of them do it, but that's just the way how the IKF does it.
I like how you guys do it when it's a title fight, even though it's amateur. At that point in your career, a win or a loss in a title fight
could affect you a lot, though.
Can change your career.
It, even though it's AMI, we try to treat it exactly as professional. We do things exactly the way CSAC would do it, and sometimes better, I think, because if we are not the highest in the upstanding on there, you got to be above. If we're going to make that claim to fame, we better be that claim. You're going to walk the walk, you got to talk the talk.
When we're showing up to these title fights, you guys see with our shirt, we have like 5 sponsors, so I'm answerable to the whole company.
Right.
It's not just that fighter. Behind that fighter, you got different coaches.
Exactly.
That's why it's important. We're all working together in the sport, and the officials are a big part of it.
Together.
And we get a couple crazies in there sometimes. Like I had a guy. His brother got knocked out, and he jumped in the ring with him. He goes, "I'm a doctor. I can do this." I said, "I understand you're a doctor, but we have ringside doctors that know exactly what's going on, and you might end up hurting them just because you're a doctor. You don't know exactly what's going on." He goes, he tried to get in my face. I said, "Hey, relax, bro. I understand you're worried about your brother, but you guys stay on the outside, and you can't be in here due to CSAC rules and all this stuff." And he was like, "Wow, wow," and he got a little mad and stuff. But we get that all the time, and you just got to calm them down, because a lot of the fans don't know what's going on. They get all hyped up and crazy and stuff, and I'm like, I just laugh. It's funny to me now.
Gentlemen, can you talk on the IKF's the scoring criteria as far as what the IKF is looking for in scoring the fight? Like, who's going to hold favor, certain techniques, as far as
it should
maybe
be anything else, like even what
depending on the rules. The rules set it about. There's full rules. There's modified.
Muay Thai,
kickboxing, Muay Thai.
Traditional
Muay Thai
Muay
is full rules. So
just as a company, as a sanctioning body, is there a push for a certain style, like the aggressive fighter or the technical fighter? Is there anything where you guys are training the officials? Are you looking for certain things in fighters?
It goes in a full circle, really. You got technique, you got skill, you got stamina, you got the balance.
It all goes. It's all of them. It's not one specific.
Right.
I would think
knees, elbows, clinching.
The way they try to train a judge is to look for all of that. Because if you look for one specific aggressiveness, then you're just going to look for the guy who's rushing all the time, regardless if he's clean or not. If you're looking for a guy who's just technique, he could be maybe just point touching and not be the guy who's laying it in there. So there's a lot to add to that criteria. But like he says, those guys, they
power,
work on that.
strikes,
It's
elbows,
everything.
knees. There's it all builds up. It just depends on that fighter and how well they're in there.
But I think mainly if it's true Muay Thai with that technique, if it's a true Muay Thai knee, not those pity pat shit from the side, if it's a good teep, if it's a good elbow, if it's a good punch, there's a lot of technique to it, and you know that as well as I do as far as in teaching this. So that's the way they train all their judges.
And
he looks at that.
We do a training I think it's every 6 months with our officials.
Every 6 months.
That's great to hear, because there's different styles that are effective. It's not just this one or that one.
Right, and then when we do our training, there's a freestyle kickboxing. I don't know if you guys heard of that one yet. It's new. It's big in the East Coast right now. It's there are a lot of takedowns. They do the kickboxing
karate
like Saint Show almost.
It's almost like Sanchow. Yeah.
But they're doing it on the East Coast right now. IKF is doing it on the East Coast, and it's pretty big out there. You know, they're doing 5-round fights, 7-round fights with it, and it's basically it's just takedowns. You're just allowed to do the takedown. They take them down and then stand right back up. You know, but there are no ground movements with it. But every style, even full rules, modified, Muay Thai, modified, or full rules, Muay Thai, kickboxing modified. We have rules for every single one of them, and our course is 2 days, 8-hour days.
I think I was pointing at Muay Thai, and the coaches were always trying to figure out you want to play to what the officials are going to score highest.
Right.
And certain regions are known for, I would say the IKF, in my knowledge, loves the aggressive fighter.
Sure. Well, I think if you got a good aggressive fighter, you know, you got a guy who's got good hands, and you got a guy who's good on the clinch and is really good on those knees, and is really showing true Muay Thai style. You know, the knees, getting the knees in there and getting that teep in there, and then coming out combination on the punches, as opposed to a guy who's real aggressive. Here we go back to that. Who's good on the punching and maybe throwing a kick once in a while. They're going to look at the Muay Thai style. Yeah. They're not going to look at just that fighter. They want Muay Thai fighting, and that's where I think like we push it in the BMTs. It's not just sparring, not just punch it. We're looking for Muay Thai, not the elbows, but the knees, the punches, the kicks, the teeps, you know.
Mike Rinaldi's very, very passionate about it, and he's always making sure. Like every time we get the scorecards come in, him and I always go over them along with Tony as well.
That's
if
great.
She's there. We always look at every bout and see, and you know, like.
And then they talk to the judges too. What did you see?
Most definitely, especially if it's a split decision.
I love that.
Why did you see it that way? And they'll be explaining. Oh, okay, I understand. That's what you've seen.
They always have it, and even after the fights, these guys, him and Tony and them, they get those judges together and they discuss all the fights.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
And it's not just one fight, it's every single fight.
Right.
Every fight there is, at the end of the night, we always take a picture and we always discuss everything that happens, even what happens in the back with inspectors, or even if somebody knocked over water or something like that and we had to do this or whatever. But we try and talk about it every night or after every fight. And before the fight, I always try and talk to them and give them a little prep talk, you know.
The nuance in Muay Thai scoring is hard, and a lot of people outside of Muay Thai, people that don't practice it, don't really understand it. There's a lot of gray areas, and it's good to hear. In traditional Muay Thai scoring, you can score demonstrating defensive techniques, like clinch, stalling, and breaking. Obviously, the sweep is loved in America.
Done correctly.
Yeah. But yeah, not just the offense, but the demonstration of Muay Thai, like you say, the technique, even the control. You know, the control, not falling down, controlling the emotions, all of those things add into the scoring.
Good checking the kicks.
So, and then, you know, like our judges, we have Susan Gitlin, who's been with CSAC for
200 years.
40, 50 years now. You know, we have Bruce Rasmussen's been with them just as long. Terry Burton, you know, and Brian Tsukamoto. We got David Bastillos, and then we bring guys down from LA, you know, just so we can get a different vibe. Like this weekend coming up, we have Daniel Castillo coming from LA and Jesse Gasca. You know, they're both judges and referees out there in LA. And we have Mike Rinaldi. So Mike and Daniel will be our referees, and then Susan and Brian will be our judges, along with Mike and Daniel rotating out. But we always try to make sure all our judges have gone through our training and have experience. Susan, she's got 40, 50 years. Brian, he does pro boxing, he does the pro kickboxing, and he does, you know, the amateur kickboxing with us. He's been with us for, I think, 5 years now. Rinaldi's been with us for 15 years. David Bastillos has been with us for 10 years. Most of these guys have experience. When they start off, though, they always have to start off as an inspector first. Then they work their way up. And I like to get guys who have experience, like Josh and Erica, who just became inspectors. They own their own gym, and they've fought, and they have experience. You know, you get a guy who's green, they like it, they like being back there, they like being around the fighters and stuff, but they don't have that passion like we do, because we were there back there. We were fighters, we were coaches, we've been, you know, and now we're working as officials to help the younger generation move up and stuff like that. You know, and it's just I always try to make sure we get experienced people. You know, not just
I think a lot of
times
times these guys, they expect to be like get a few of these fights, even some of these coaches, and boom, hey, I'm ready for the UFC. They got no idea what it took. It took me from when I had my fighter to make it into K1. I
started in
had
'84.
From '84, and then had him. He was 54-2 before I turned him out, and then he fought for K1, and we became the first American world champions in Las Vegas in
We had
2003.
Jeff
That was
Hoagland, who's
great.
out of Seattle. He fights in the UFC. Justin Smitley. There's a few of them. Anthony Ruiz, who fought in Strikeforce
Justin
and Bellator.
Smith, we had him fight, and he was on that. What was that show?
Gladiator Challenge, or not Gladiator Challenge, but the American Gladiator.
American Gladiator.
Guy's
Had
6'10", 360 pounds. Well, he was huge. His girlfriend was like 4'8" and walked around with a little French. He walked around with a little French
fucking
bulldog
dog
around
This big, that was
his hand. Yeah.
You know his nickname
Marcus.
on it? Laser.
Was it Laser?
No, I don't know.
Oh no. And they just called him Justice. And then we had then we had
Marcus
Royster, who fought
three-
Butterbean, and we had three guys
the
fighting
shit
in
out of
Hawaii.
Butterbean in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Had Jeremiah Metcalf, who's one of the best.
He fought Raymond Daniels
one
in
of the
San Jose in
best
Strikeforce,
fighters I
and
had.
Raymond
You
Daniels
remember
was
that? Weren't you there on that fight?
I don't know.
Raymond
Yeah,
Daniels
Raymond-
was undefeated,
that
and
was his
that was
debut when
his
he came
debut
in.
into Strikeforce kickboxing.
2
and-
weeks before the fight, they gave me a call, and it was
Scott?
Yeah, Scott Coker, and he goes, hey, you want to put your boy in that? I go, 2 weeks for the fight. So we discussed money-wise, and okay, I said, well, that'll work, and I called Jeremiah. He goes, yeah, sure, fuck it, I'll take it. He goes, but I got to work until the day before. I go, but let's trade. He goes, fuck it, no biggie. Got in there, took that fight, first round, destroyed.
Let's
I think he
go.
dropped him
Just
3 times.
destroyed.
Underdog, baby.
Then we had
Oh,
we had
yeah.
Anthony Rubalcaba, who beat who's the
Oh, yeah, what's
Luke
his name?
Rockhold?
Yeah, Luke Rockhold's fight.
before it was Luke Rockhold's first loss.
He never got
with
over
Anthony,
that.
with Anthony Rubalcaba, who's one of our fighters.
Never got over that.
I think the that feedback you gave us on the how the protests are carried out and the reviewing of the officials' card decisions
Gotta do it
round
that
by
way.
round. That's some of
Yeah.
some of the things I've been
That's
wanting
fair.
to talk to you guys about. That's fantastic.
That is fair. That's the only way to do it.
And also accountability is important.
Right, exactly.
Instead of just throw those away.
If you don't have that
No,
transparency,
but the
there's
thing
gonna
is
be
too,
problems.
on those scorecards though, if they do not score it right and they do not circle the winner or put the right score on there, I take it right back to them right then and there and make them fix it right then and there. That way, there's no discrepancies or nothing.
Well, I do the same thing. I mean, not on everyone's fight, but on my fight. And if it's a certain official, everyone's got us winning. But this guy, 9 out of the last 10 went the other way. What's up with that? Like that's a big pattern there.
That could be a
Right,
pleasure.
yeah, that could
Yeah, who's that guy?
Why?
Right,
You know?
exactly.
Why?
And then I got that from my boss Nasser, who's an old boxing guy. And
Yeah,
in a boxing
Nasser
game,
Navarone.
you can request who
Right.
who's
So
the official on your
the
show.
the thing about that is too is if you go to the IKF fight platform, and we put scores live as soon as the fight's over, it shows up there, and I type in who judges, and if you look at it, it'll say like David Bastillos, Rodney, and
Yeah,
then
that's
Susan.
great.
So
Yeah,
when
we
it says
put
it
up
like
the
that
judges,
though,
right?
I make sure I put the scores that they scored. If David's number 1, I put his score first. Susan number 2, I put hers, and then Roddy number 3, and I put his 3. That way, there's no confusion on which judge scored which, and you know exactly which. It's not going to show it up on there, but if you come and ask me, I'll let you know, and that's exactly how it goes.
The rules and the scoring criteria, again, it's so different.
Open.
And there's a lot of nuanced things that happen in Muay Thai. I would love to get involved with the officiating training, not to train
Come
anyone.
and sit down and watch and ask to shadow sometime one of the judges.
Yeah,
Get
if
No, it's
permission.
just as far as
And you
the
can see.
traditional scoring input.
Right.
And I've talked to some of the other chief coaches too, like Lino, and again, you can be properly trained for professional boxing, but that doesn't make you qualify to judge Muay Thai.
Kickboxing or Muay Thai, it's totally
Especially
different.
Muay Thai, because Muay Thai's weird.
It's
it has
a
all
lot
these weird
different.
situations.
Where
Yeah.
kickboxing, they don't allow elbows. They don't allow, takedowns, or sweeps and stuff like that, clinch. Where Muay Thai allows a lot more. There's elbows, there's knees, there's clinches, there's sweeps.
But I've seen some evolving within the IKF scoring. A few years ago, a dump, even though you could dominate a round, and if the other guy dumped you, you would lose that round.
Right.
Just because of the one takedown, which really isn't that high scoring in traditional
No,
Muay
it's
Thai.
kind of stupid. sport.
Right. The loud boom and the guy
What?
falling down.
And the
No.
crowd goes, oh.
Well, I grew up where traditional Muay Thai was you didn't really use your hands. You used your legs a lot more than you did anything else. There's a lot more kicking.
Clinch,
It was
knees,
clicking.
elbows.
Yeah, and then if you got in close, it was elbows and and knees.
But now it's not as big of a deal. It's
Right.
part of the game. Also, I've noticed the IKF officials allowing the clinch to just work. Rinaldi letting the clinch go, and that's great for the knee fighters.
Exactly. And
I think if you let it go to a point, that
So-
can be elongated too much, and you get a guy who's just hugging. A
So
guy
like when I ref the PMTs and they clinch like that, I'll count to 10 in my head. If they get it before then, but if they get to 10 and they're working, I'll let it go. But if they're not working, they're just clinching. Sorry guys, let's go break it up. Let's
Usually
get some
works
busy.
itself out by then.
But yeah, exactly. But a lot of times you get some of those guys who just want to get in there and just want to clinch and throw knees and do whatever they can. I'll let them work it, see what they can do. But if they're not busy, then I'm gonna break you up and keep you going. I want to see some work. I want to see you guys busy.
How do you feel about somebody who's extremely evasive with footwork and giving up a lot of ground and pot shotting from the outside versus someone who might land 3 or 4 on the guard and maybe one gets through?
Well, if they're good on the outside, that shows a guy who's cutting angles, which is a smart move as far as I'm concerned. And hey, you can still score well on the outside as long as you're scoring well and you're just not trying to touch and pot shot, because some guys like to just tag and think they're going to score. Well, if you're not going to hit, if I don't see that glove crunching, I'm not going to score you as a punch. See, I look at the specific, like old school. I'm looking at the specific. If the guy's going to kick a guy, I want to see that plant into the leg. I want to see that go
and
deep
if they're
into
playing on
the
the outside
tissue.
because
Proper
the guy's,
technique.
because the guy's taller,
Exactly.
Kicking with the
reach,
right part of the
you
foot.
could do that
Right,
too.
Or leg.
The good pivot on the kick, the good teep, not catching up on the side, or good knees in deep. If you're going to throw an elbow, a good elbow, nice and clean. Like you don't see guys anymore when they throw that elbow. You don't see guys who come back anymore, old school style. And I always taught my guys full combat, because the guy when I was training with Muay Thai, he was a combat training instructor in Thailand, so he did all this old dirty shit, which was fucking great, but illegal to do in the ring. But there was a lot of stuff you could do coming back, and using the 4 corners, boom, 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 and keep continuous fighting, not 1, 2, back off. I never fought that way. 1, 2, 3.
It was always forward.
It was go, go, go until the ref said, "Hey, that's it." Your
They
guy's
used to
dead.
call me the train when I was a kid.
Big
I
heart.
just move forward. I would just go
Yeah.
forward,
Never
forward,
stop.
forward.
Never stop.
Forward style.
Yeah.
A locomotive. Whoop, whoop.
But like you say, there's a lot of different
It's funny
ways,
because you guys were talking about old fighters and stuff. I was going through my pictures the other day, and I don't know why I was going through them, but I ended up going through them. And Walter from L.A.
Walter Wolski,
Oh, yeah.
sleeper.
I have a picture with his father-in-law, his wife June. His father-in-law used to be a
June
promoter
Castro.
back in the '80s, and I got a picture with him. And
Ralph.
she's writing a book. She asked me to send it to him, and she's gonna put it in a book. But I got a picture with him, Ed Parker Jr. Right after his dad passed away.
And what's
Bruce
his name?
Willis, Ernie Reyes Jr.
Bruce
Ernie Reyes-
Willis?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, but
not Bruce
and,
Willis.
Jeff Speakman.
Die Hard?
Yeah, no. Bill Wallace.
Bill Wallace.
Oh,
Bill Wallace and Jeff
because we
Speakman.
had-
Bruce
no,
Willis?
No, not Bruce Willis. No,
Bill
my
Wallace.
bad.
Bill Wallace.
Yeah,
Bill
we had the
Superfoot.
same. We had the same Kang Duquan instructor, and he'd come out to train with us.
Yeah,
right?
I got a little personal one-on-one with him and stuff, and yeah, he kicked me in my head and knocked me down. And
Called him
it was
Superfoot
cool.
and called me Super Fist.
But yeah, Muay Thai is not point fighting,
No.
and not all
at
strikes
all.
are created equal. So, some strikes hit harder, and those count for more.
that
And the
right.
judges have to have that peeled eye. But here's the thing: a lot of amateur Muay Thai, especially around here, it's very evenly matched, and it goes to the cards. So we want to know, and having you guys here, I can try to get some more knowledge of what you guys are looking for, because a lot of times it does go to the cards, and we want to be playing to what the
Real
judges
Muay
want.
Thai and good hard technique.
Yes,
Good-
sir.
I'm looking if I'm out there, I'm looking for good hard
Yes, sir.
technique, the real thing. You can dance all you want out there, but if it's not the real thing, just don't waste your time.
But yeah, the judges have been doing a good job. I have different stylists on my team, some aggressive, a lot of femur that
Right.
fight off the ropes and back
Sure.
foot. And we've been getting the wins, and they were the rightful winners. So it's going well. I think
good.
the,
Yeah, you
the
guys are
judges are
doing
seeing
well.
it.
Yeah,
thank you.
we've had a big change, especially since Tony's been in there, and she's really doing the training. That's her biggest thing.
I think the
And-
competition too. Like we got to get it right.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly. And
I love it.
And Northern California has a big Muay Thai kickboxing community around here, and
But it's funny, you notice the
It's-
difference between Southern Cal and Northern Cal. There is a big difference.
What's the discrepancy?
SoCal's
It just is.
they're different than us. You know, NorCal, originally NorCal was, is the old school. We're old school. We've been
We'll stay
been
there.
around a long time, and I have nothing against Angelica Mark. They've been around for a long time. Angelica used to be a pro fighter. Not a lot of people know that, but she used to be a pro fighter. I'm sorry, Angelica. I'm telling everybody. But
Telling everybody.
I'm proud of you, woman. And she's running it out there. She's doing CSAC. She's running camo, but she does it. And she does a lot of. She makes sure all the criteria is right and all the paperwork is done right, and that way nothing gets screwed up. And if I mess up, she's on my ass as
She
well.
gets criticized for
She
being a
helps me.
micromanager.
And she's doing a great job. But
does.
SoCal and NorCal are it's like MMA and kickboxing. It's two different. It's two different things.
Gotcha.
But
It's interesting. You say you go to the different sanctioning body shows, ISKA and WACO and that, but it is very separate. There's different groups. And last year I got nominated for a couple of awards in LA, and I was like, I don't even know if you guys know this, but I'm from Sacramento.
I don't know
Right.
you guys.
Yeah, but it was cool because
For
what we were
Frida
doing,
Gibbs?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
What we were doing,
Trickles all the way down out there.
they were hearing about it down there, which was cool. They
It's
gave
like-
us some props.
And I go out there, 'cause
Reno is
I used
good
to
people.
drive out to LA almost every other weekend. If I didn't do a show here, I was doing a show out there.
Every
when I first
weekend,
started, I would volunteer and drive out there. I wouldn't get paid shit. That way I learned, and I wanted to know what it was like out there and it was like here, and and I would go by myself sometimes, and for them I just went back January because my nephew graduated boot camp. I went to one of the shows out there, and they're like, "Hey, where have you been at? We thought you quit." I said, "No, I'm in Northern Cali. I live in." They're like, "We thought you lived out here. You were out here so damn much." I said, "No,
We
I've
used to
always
have
been-"
to go
Thought you
down.
died.
Yeah,
We'd
no,
have to go
basically,
down there
and
so much.
It was cool.
And we'd work the fight and come home right away. Well, I ended up buying an ex-cop car so we could fly back and forth without getting
We
pulled
love
over.
that.
We would leave at 5 o'clock in the
so
morning.
sick.
We would leave at 5 o'clock in the morning, be there around noon, 1 o'clock, do the fights from 2 till midnight, and as soon as the fights were over, I'd drive home.
And I mean, we drove home 110, 120 all the way
No.
to this black Crown.
No.
Vic.
I drove, they slept.
Blacked out, had all the antennas on. I decked it out.
He
Had
put
the
lights
light-
on it
I
and
put
everything.
Man, he hit the siren on that damn thing. Fucking cops would drive by. Hey, right on. Yeah.
No, they would, and they moved right over. We went to some fights out in San Francisco, and this guy who owned a security company went up to my dad and goes, "Hey,
No.
you want to sell your car? I love that thing." He
Right
paid
now, pay me
$1,800 for it. Gave him like $6,000. I was
Let's
like,
go.
"What?"
Cash right there for
That's
it.
a Crown Vic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was an old Crown Vics.
I miss that
It was
car.
before they started changing over to the Chargers and all that. Yeah.
So-
we-
That's
we
a
used
crazy shit.
So Gene, going to the events and working with you, I would pull up and then I saw you in a little sports car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I actually saw it in the parking lot, and I'm like, that is a sick car.
that's my toy.
Whose car is that?
That's my
and,
car.
And then come to find out, it's a Porsche Boxster. So Gene, tell us,
No, it's
is
a Porsche Cayman.
Is it Cayman? So is it Porsche or Porsche?
Porsche.
If you're fancy.
I hate riding in that car because I mean, you wouldn't even like riding in that car.
You don't fit.
I'm 6 foot. I'm 250 pounds, and I sit in that car like this.
No way, I fold up well.
I can't move in that car.
That'd be tough for you.
No,
The
and you know
seats
what?
don't move back. They don't lean back or nothing, and it's
Tough
loud.
for him. For you, yeah, it's loud.
No, but here's the thing. I have a very similar car. He's got the Porsche. I got the Volkswagen Rabbit.
Oh,
We were just talking about that on the way here.
Fast
And,
car.
and you know what? I was talking about it on one of the last podcasts, and I was like, I feel like James Dean. And the other guys didn't get it. They were like, what? They were hating on the Rabbit. But James Dean drove a little Porsche Spider.
Yeah.
904.
German-
904 is what he drove. And that's why I
Died in
got
it.
that Cayman.
I used to have a 65 Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah.
I used to drive that around. That was fun.
And if you've ever driven one of these 5-speed Rabbits, they're pretty quick. They don't weigh anything.
No, they're
it's like a
coming out with
go-kart.
They said they're coming out with a
mine's
new one that's supposed to
mid-engine.
race a Lamborghini.
Mine's mid-engine, and we get out there.
Yeah, no.
I get up, hit
I'm
about
yelling at him.
145, 150, and he's like,
Man, I pull up next to the guy with the Corvette, at the light, and his girlfriend's checking out my car.
Yeah.
You know, they love their Volkswagen Rabbit.
They're fast.
And the Corvette, sure, it's faster, but the Volkswagen's cooler.
Oh, yeah. The Golf or the GTI. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
really cool.
Those guys are crazy.
Gene, I thought you got a new car because you posted it and it was a different
I
color.
wrapped it.
Yeah,
Red.
And you chose red.
Yeah.
Bright
Why?
red. It's his favorite color.
That's
Why?
Ferrari red.
He used to have,
We're in Northern California.
He used to have a
that's
pickup
why.
truck, the same color. He had a 76 Chevy 454 big block with 46-inch tires on it back
A
in like
blower.
1990,
Red?
94. Bright
Big
red.
old blower sticking
Bright
out of the
red.
hood
He,
and everything.
he just got it painted red, right? And we lived in Southside Modesto, and it was ghetto as shit over there. These guys two started fighting. This guy goes like this to the guy and slams his head against my dad's truck. My dad's all, "You mother freakers! I just got that painted." I was like, "Whoa." Yeah, he's always red.
Not the truck.
Yeah, no, but like you said in his Porsche though, we come home from fights, you know, and he won't let nobody drive his Porsche. Not even my mom drives the car.
I would love that car.
And we were going, I think it was down 132, and he had a Tesla. Was trying to get next to him, and he's all, and then he tried to pull up in front of him because he goes into one lane. He goes, "Vroom." I'm all, dude, you almost ran them off the road. Or they almost ran off the. Yeah, he likes to drive fast. In that
But the
thing.
red,
It's
I
bright
used
red.
to my rabbit's red. It's a red rabbit, and when it's my wife's old car. But when I got it, I used to hate the red. I was like, this is the most
Well, that's
girly
why I
color.
got rid of the black. I had to wash it every other day, so I got sick of it. So I went red, and I had it ceramic coated. After it was wrapped, I washed it off with a little bit of water. It looks like it's fucking waxed to the max.
But I didn't like it. On the rabbit, it was like a girl car. But then now I love it. What else? What better color could you have on a sports coupe
Red.
than red? You know,
Red.
He
and,
used
and
to
then
have
the
a-
haters just can't feel it.
He used to have a Suzuki Samurai or whatever motorcycle back in the day too. When I was in high school, it was red
Let's
and
go.
yellow, like zebra stripe, red and yellow.
Kawasaki 1000.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
It was a huge bike.
I was gonna say you guys were very punctual to the pod today, and I was like, wow, these guys are way on time.
No, we didn't come on my car. I came in my wife's car today.
But Gene, is it a manual transmission?
No, I went with the Triptonic because if I'm drinking and driving, I spill. If I'm shifting, so I don't know. I like the Triptonic because I checked it all out. And a tranny in one of these things, when they go, you're looking at anywhere from 12 to 13 grand in the long run. Triptonic, being the automatic, which is faster than trying to shift by hand, and plus I can paddle shift, is a $6 grand changeover if the tranny goes. So
Interesting.
to me, I had to think of the budget-wise because they're very expensive cars to maintain. I mean, I'm just doing O2 sensors right now, and that's $2 grand getting that kind of shit done with, labor and everything. And I've already I bought the car, luckily pre-COVID, for a little less than 60 grand. I mean, new, they're like
This is
95.
retirement gift.
Wow.
And I've already put in like 35 grand into that thing.
We were getting ready to leave for some fights, and he pulled out of the driveway. He goes, "Oh nope, we're not taking this car." His check engine light came on. Turned around,
comes on, I don't
pulled out my
go.
mom's Escalade. But the
I
check
go-
engine light's on this. So what? Let's go.
No, in my car, I go right to the mechanic because it's too expensive if something goes out.
Yeah.
And it's a daily driver for me, so I maintain the shit out of that thing.
The manual transmission, it's outdated. And
Well, a lot of people love it, and I can understand the old school. I mean, there's nothing like nobody knows how to drive that way anymore. But I'll tell you, the Triptonic, so fast.
but you know what? The youngsters, they don't
They
don't
won't know how to
drive.
steal it.
No,
they
they don't
can't
know.
drive a
No.
stick. Sal,
I'm a valet.
Try to get them to
Speak
use
on
a
it, Sal.
push-button telephone.
And they gotta go, "Oh, we gotta get you on it. Can you come run down?" I'm like, "Don't you have like 5 guys down there?" And they're like, they don't know how to move the thing. They don't even know how to
Seriously.
start it. And I'm like, all right.
the only reason
in the
you know how to
clutch,
drive
put
a
in the
manual
gear.
is because you used to drive a truck.
Yeah, I learned how to drive stick in a truck.
I learned how to
Yeah.
drive it on a stick.
But the rest of the guys, his generation, they don't drive manual.
No, well, nobody knows. They don't do it. I
And
mean,
my
it's-
daughter, she don't even know how. She's 23, and she would. I don't know. She barely knows how to drive now.
It's redundant now, right?
It's such a huge flex because when I'm sitting at the light and the guy pulls up behind me in the lifted truck, they can see me. And then I got them because they got the automatic.
Well, that
I
too,
got
and
the
you know
manual.
they're not going to steal that car.
Also, they got respect. They're like, this guy knows how to drive.
Yeah,
Look at him.
exactly.
Rowan
He's pushing the
Reigns.
clutch in. Yeah, he's feathering it. This guy, respect, red.
Yeah.
I see it.
They like these kids. They don't have they don't have know how to drive those things.
God, they love to
get in
race. I
trouble.
mean, I get guys pull up on me all the time, man.
Hell yeah.
I go, straight line. I don't do the straight line thing. I go, let's go up in the hills. I go, I'll beat the shit out of you up there.
Leave you in a ditch.
I go, but a straight line, it goes, not my. I do it though, but I mean, I do it out of stupidity. I've stopped though.
We were coming home one time. We had this Audi. It was the A8, I think it was. Oh, this car was beautiful. Pulled up. He came out of nowhere and pulled up on my dad, and he's like, "Let's go." He's like, "Whoa!" We get up next to me. He goes, "Whoop!"
We were hitting
Like,
about.
oh,
we were
shit.
hitting about 150.
He slowed down for us to get next to him. He's like, "I don't drive it crazy." And then he goes like this, new, all throughout the freeway and was gone. I'm
I
like,
said, that's good. After 150, I go on the freeway. I don't need to get into
You got
shit.
it.
Like, people don't realize
it was crazy.
what a wreck is like after 100.
That's when your limbs fly off.
Well,
I mean,
and then
you
too,
better
if you
have
get
your
caught,
shit
if you get caught
together.
going that fast, doing over 100 on the freeway, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
When I first week I got my car, I'm coming home. I'm going down 99.
We're coming-
Yeah. No, this is when I got my first ticket. Now I'm flying. I'm just good all the time doing about 90. Get in the middle lane. This big rig slows down in front of me. So I punched it to get over, and I've got a GT3 exhaust. It's just 2 cats. That's it. It's loud. So I punched it to get around this guy, and when I punched it to go around him, here's a motorcycle cop writing a ticket. And I go, oh, fuck, because I see him go. And I go, oh, shit. And I see in my mirror, he jumps on his motorcycle, comes right at me. Oh, fuck. So I just pull over. He pulls up. You know how fast you're going? I go, well, obviously too fast, or you wouldn't have pulled me over. And he goes, oh, all right. He goes, you know, I could take you to jail for that kind of thing. He goes, you were doing over 110. And I go, well, I don't know. I go, it's your motorcycle? He goes, yeah. I go, I like riding double. Fuck that. He wrote out that ticket, gave me a ticket. Yeah, I could have went to jail. But
We were coming home from Gilroy, and he was doing like 120, and he has his radar on. I'm all, dude, your radar's going off. He's like, what? Next thing you know, you see the highway patrol flipping a bird right on him. Then she gets out and starts
This is
talking to
good.
him, and she's like, hey, old man. Da-da-da. She started flirting with him and stuff. I'm like,
An older female cop, and she was fine, dude. She goes, you know what you're doing? I go, oh, you know, I tried to play on my son.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
wanted to
taking
take
him for a drive.
wanted
He's
to
all
take her a good
stressed
time, and
out.
She's going like this, and she's doing the up and down, and I'm like, whoa.
Mr.
She goes,
Fields.
She goes, I'll be right back. I go, oh, man, I'm fucked on this. Gave her my license. She comes back. She goes, it's just a warning this time. And I was like, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and I'm like,
and I'm just like
okay.
this. I'm all,
I'm like, I really appreciate that. And she's like, I hope so. I swear to God, I would have got whatever she wanted. I would have done. It just blew me away. It just
Come
blew me
on,
away.
Gene,
I was
game.
like, oh my God.
Roadside game.
No, I don't play it. My old lady would cut my throat, man, in a second. No. So
a
I was
compliment to her.
But we laughed. Yeah, we laughed all the way home because I was fucking. I go, man, I didn't need another ticket. But can you believe that she actually was coming on?
yeah, she was. It was a
Yeah.
trip. I've never seen that before.
Me either. I only got that from male cops. I never got that from female cops.
So I wanted to talk a little bit before we get through the podcast. I wanted to talk about rest and recovery. You know, as a health and wellness coach, you know, we're always training and we're doing the work. We're stressing the body. So over the last month or so, you know, I've been lecturing a lot on rest and recovery. What are you guys doing?
What do we do for rest and
Yeah.
recovery? You don't want to know.
Yeah, we do.
You know,
So like,
it's all illegal. We can't do it.
so like when I do the World Classic, I fell out a few times. I've had to get an IV because
He goes crazy.
See?
He overdoes it.
I
yeah.
work my butt off on these fights. I run,
Pushing it to the brink.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I do, and you
He
know,
does.
and
He stresses.
when I do that, I gotta sit back and relax for a minute. I just gotta go outside and get some air, you know. But usually after a fight, like a long day of fight after Reno show on Sundays, whatever, I won't do nothing. I don't even answer my phone or nothing. I'm old. My body's starting to swell up. My knees are killing me. My ankles are killing me. So I just sit back and relax for the day, you know. And then Monday morning I go to work and I'm good to go. But yeah, usually I take the day off the next day and relax.
Sal.
I need a lot of water, and electrolytes.
Yeah,
Especially
there you
I
go.
got to do it before the event.
Shout out Magnac,
Yeah.
number one electrolytes. Sal,
All right. What
rest and recovery regimen.
recovery. Well,
You got to
know
eat
me.
right. You got to eat right.
Yeah, I do some of that. And I'm always doing explosive movements acrobatics, things of that nature.
For recovery?
No, I'm saying that's what causes me to act on getting recovery, and I love going to juice it up personally. I
Juice
get
it
a
up.
good smoothie.
Juice it up.
Juice it
Yeah,
up.
it's like a Jamba Juice
I
kind
did.
of.
Oh, Jamba. Oh, okay.
Oh, you guys don't know. It's probably the premier smoothie spot here in Roseville.
Okay.
And I like to frequent there, get myself a nice big old drink, and,
Nice.
just sink in, a little bit of meditation.
Something healthy, yeah.
Yeah,
Something good for the head, good for the body.
Yeah, the diet's huge for athletes. You got to replenish the body.
You got to,
Yeah,
but you got to
'cause-
do it right.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they get in these weird diets and they think they know what they're doing. Normal foods,
Yeah.
normal foods. Learn what the right vitamins are. Don't get into any weird shit that just because everybody else is doing some weird thing, you think you need to do that. Do the
My
right
biggest thing is, for these young fighters, make sure you guys stretch a lot. A lot of people, like when I was younger, stretching wasn't that big of a thing, but I'm paying for it now.
Stretching, not very popular for social media content.
Right,
You know,
no,
guys
it's
are doing
not.
all the performative
yoga.
pad work, but not the recovery work. And yeah, the stretching gets skipped a lot. But yeah, Juice It Up, we actually teamed up with them. They're right down the street.
Really?
And they actually sponsored Muay TV. Shout out Vivek
Well,
at
that's
Juice
good.
It Up.
Right
And,
on, Juice It Up.
All Muay Thai practitioners, go to Juice It Up. You get a Knock Muay discount. And you know what? It's just better all the way around than Jamba Juice. And
by far, I'm sure.
And then they actually sponsor Muay Thai. Jamba Juice doesn't.
No.
So Juice It Up. And yeah, I'm always trying to influence my guys into diet, stretching.
Before and after.
Yeah, well, talking about it, I had one of my young students message me, and he's like, Ezra, you should make ASMR for rest and recovery. I was like, what is that? ASMR? What is that? He's like, one of those ambient sleep aids, those 8-hour sleep, that with like rain?
Yeah.
But instead,
Brown noise, yellow noise,
use
green
the
noise.
background symphony of a full Muay Thai gym in full swing.
Oh my God.
With all the bags and the trainers. So I said, that's brilliant. And me and Chris got together on it. I have some old training from Sipman Chai pre-COVID where Willie Whipple and Tom Cannon, we had the
Really?
whole crew there training. And we put together and people love it.
Really?
Yeah, it's got almost 2,000 views in a few weeks.
Nice.
And imagine if you've been around Muay Thai culture,
Yeah.
but you don't have that in your life anymore. Maybe you live in the hills.
Right.
What are you going to play during your workout? You could play that, and it has that soundtrack that just makes you want to train. For practitioners, it's actually relaxing. So many people comment, it just makes them feel
I
relaxed.
like to hear that sometime.
It's on the YouTube. It's our latest file. And yeah, it was one of my young guys had this idea, and I was like, that's brilliant. I didn't even know what is it.
Was he eating like mushrooms at the time?
Probably.
Wouldn't put past it.
But the thought of being so wound up
Yeah,
that you need
I can understand that.
You
I
need
can
a sleep aid. Now, what are most guys doing? Most guys are drinking and smoking.
Right.
They're trying to unwind. They're tensed up and they're trying to unwind. But
And
a lot of times,
that's not the way to do it, though. It's like you said, the stretching type of thing or listening to something. It's got to be good for the mind as well as it is for the body. If you want to coincide in the Muay Thai life and have everything equal out right, you've got to do it in a Muay Thai mental state, of proper training. And like you say, you've got to have that with the right instructor, the right stretching, the right training and technique, and then the after effect is just as important as the main effect. You got to take care of yourself. All these years of busting bricks and stuff, and what did that do? Because I never went to the doctors. They gave me major arthritis in my hands, atrophy in my hands, fucking strong as a rock, but they still fucked me up. I didn't take care of myself, the way I should have. And now if I would have the way that we know today, I have the technology that we have today, I would be so much stronger. And I'm going to be 70. I'm coming up on 70. So I'm lucky that I can feel the way I do and still do what I do at this age, because I know a lot of guys my age are like, That's not going to fly for me.
But yeah, that habit really catches up to you, especially once you're out of your 20s and you're burning the candle on both ends.
That's exactly
You're
it.
destroying yourself in the gym, and then you're going home and getting destroyed.
Yeah, no, I feel that
It's
same
one
way.
thing to party, but I mean, everything within,
Right.
But
yeah, also what that does when you do it consistently over a period of time, we know because it's science, it messes with your testosterone, your muscle growth ability, and that you don't want as a fighter. You need that testosterone. You need that body recovering, and you want to eliminate getting sick and ill. And it's a mental thing too. A lot of guys do drink and smoke because they're mentally.
It
worked
becomes
up.
habitual.
Yeah.
It's an easy crutch.
I thought the ambient thing was a really, new generation thing, and shout out Armando on that.
Kind
Mondi,
of cool idea.
Mondi's coming, and I think it's a first. Like, there's all these weird, like Blade
Yeah,
Runner ambient.
when you said AMSR, my kids, they told me about AMSR, and it's them watching people eating noodles and hamburgers
Weird,
and making
and
smacking.
Mike.
Yeah, I'm like, why do you like watching that? It's relaxing. It's
Makes
I'm like,
me hungry.
What do you mean it's relaxing? But I get it though with doing the gym thing, and also too, that it could help a fighter who wants just to that need is to hear that to make him relax, who hasn't been around for a long time. And I think that's a great idea.
Use what works.
Also realizing that we're living in a generation where the speed of life is so much, people are needing sleep aids to have healthy sleep, and a lot of them aren't healthy sleep aids. It's
Well, I don't think they know how to sleep.
It's like
Because to put yourself to sleep too, like with myself, I learned to put myself in a REM state of, you got to set your mind. Me, I go camping when I'm ready to go to sleep, and I go and I'm either going out and I'm buying a camping trailer and I'm throwing all these guys in it and we're going up to the mountains, and that's what I do. I go on a trip, or I'm taking the wife, or everything that I do relates to the forest or camping in one way, the green, going up to the waterfall, that sitting up next to that little lake by myself, nobody else is around, and sitting down and meditating and thinking about what I do.
therapeutic.
Yes, and that's what I do, and that's the only way I can go to sleep, because being a Tourette's baby never stops.
Yeah.
Me, I can
Never
put my head down on the
stops.
pillow and I'm out.
Yeah.
See, I
My
can't do
kids are 12, 13. My two younger ones are 12, 13 years old. I make sure they're in bed by 10 o'clock. I'll wake up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, just go to the restroom or whatever, and they're still up watching videos and stuff. I'm like,
If not,
you
they're
guys
at my
have school
house doing
tomorrow. Why are you guys still asleep? Why are you awake? You guys need 8 hours of sleep. I try to make sure they have at least 8 hours of sleep. They don't ever. Like right now during summertime, they don't even sleep at night. They stay up all night long and try to sleep during the day. I'm like, that's cool for me.
Kids are nocturnal.
Now, one thing I rediscovered recently, I've been traveling. I recently went on my honeymoon with my wife to London.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
I thought
thank
that
you.
was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And not a real long flight, but still like 12 hours. So you're on that
An
plane.
invite to that wedding. As he laughs, go ahead. Yeah, we'll get him for that.
was a
Anyways,
great
12-hour flight.
So I started playing video games. So
On the plane. Yeah.
on the plane, and that's one thing I rediscovered. And in the modern generation, because of the speed of life, video games now are relaxing. And I'm comparing it to scrolling on your phone, the amount of input that you're taking in. And that's what I found myself doing, is I would go home to try to unwind, but I'm scrolling 50,000 types of info, which was not relaxing at all.
Right.
The video game can have you focus on this, and I play real simple stuff like Asteroid.
Yeah.
Old I mean, real simple, but it's making me focus and becomes actual relaxing. I found it when I did A1-3. When I did that one show, I was the matchmaker promoter, and it just took over my mind. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I had to do forcive distraction. And that's what it was. I was playing Tetris and Solitaire. Man, I think my record on Solitaire is 1 minute. It's like speed poker, but it's an interesting thing, but also my young students like Sal, these guys play video games. It's like a generational thing.
Well, they got the Oculus now, and
They
it's
got-
like
they
3D. My son has that, and I'm like,
That's some crazy
what are
shit.
you doing? I put it on and do a roller coaster ride, and
kill
I act like I
myself
was
on
really on a roller coaster. I was about to get sick and stuff. I'm
really?
like, what the heck is this?
I fall into the vice hard. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie to you. I'm frequent on FIFA, FC25 if we're getting technical. I'm playing, I'm trying to win a championship in something I'm doing, and that's the only way I got to do
My
it.
son, he's the same way. He's got the PS5 or 4 or the Oculus and all that, and I'm like,
But truly, it's the worst time suck where like hours pass by, and then you
That's
look
the
at the
thing.
clock and you look at where the sun is.
I've
and
been
the
on
sky,
here
and you're
that
like,
long.
You're like, oh no, what
But-
did I do?
But compare that to your 10 and a half hours of screen time and all the tens of thousands of things that were put to you instead of you playing Ronaldo on soccer. Which one's more relaxing? The video game's going to be a lot better for you in the long run.
right, because you're not scrolling through different stuff and seeing
that-
all that through stuff going through your mind.
And that's what we were doing. It's like you turn on Netflix and you don't even watch anything. You just look at everything and then you go to bed. It's like you're better off playing
That's
one
exactly
thing.
what my wife does.
You have to
True.
have an attention span
Yeah.
and focus instead of
For
looking at.
something in particular.
Yeah, no, my wife, I'll tell her, hey, go ahead and pick out a movie, and a half hour later, I'm like, what are you doing? You're still scrolling. I could have picked out 10 different movies and been halfway through.
So you're
many good
so you got
ones.
Netflix on, you got your phone on at the same time. Both of you, you're getting hit with
See,
rage bait
yeah, no.
and not watching anything. Terrible.
Or you go to
right before bed.
Or you go to
So-
the commercials and you get stuck going back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my wife,
Not-
she'll watch a show
Oh, at
and
least
be
I
on her
know
phone
I'm
at the
not the
same
only
time.
one.
I can't do that. I put my phone away and I just turn on silent or whatever. I don't, yeah.
No wonder I wake up at 2:30 a.m. and check my messages.
It's such a evil necessity, you know. It's terrible,
No.
especially with kids. Oh my God, working for the school district, you take a phone away from a kid and they're going to commit suicide.
Take a phone away from my 13-year-old daughter. She freaks out. Like,
Like
oh
you
my
chopped
God,
their
my
leg off.
life. How am I going to talk to my friends?
Some of the worst experiences I had was when we had to remove a phone from a student, you know, for some reason or another. You know, anything, you bust a kid have a gun or whatever, do anything, but don't take my phone. Why the fuck
Baby's
would I
bottle.
do- Oh my God.
But I'm excited to get a new console. Technology's come such a long way, and it's more interactive.
is, it
Again,
is.
Sal is on there. You can play Sal one-on-one, and you can't do that doom scrolling. So I'm excited, and you know what I was thinking about? And I'm putting it out there. You know, we're going to put it out in the universe. When are they going to release a Muay Thai video game?
That's what I was thinking.
Or a 1FC would be brilliant because they have the different disciplines.
You would think, huh?
When
There
is
one
that?
in development,
Yeah,
I will say.
well, right, because they have the characters. They have. They could do legends from the past.
Well, let's
Imagine
put the money
Brutal.
Nestor
together and
Hoost,
do it.
Annie Hug, you know, Peter Arts,
that was
Remy
one-
Bonjowski.
That was one guy
Bob
I
Sapp.
No,
respected.
Diesel Noy.
There you go.
You know, like guys from the past. Yes, and then
Way back.
And then think with the graphics. Also, think of the boxing game. You can make your own character. He looks like you, but more handsome. You know,
How can you get more handsome?
You can pick his style.
nice and ripped.
He's a left-legged femur with transition to Muay Thai. You start him as a novice on the PMT circuit. He moves to Bangkok like it's a role-playing
Yeah,
game.
there
You build up the agility. You go to PK Sunshine where
The
you
only way he
sharpen-
can move up is by how many floors he scrubs and how much laundry he
You
does.
sharpen the hands in Chiang Mai,
Yeah.
and then your skill bar goes up, and then you work your way all the way up to Lumpini. Like
There you go, yeah.
you guys, EA Sports,
Like how it
are you
should have
guys
been back in
listening
the
to
day.
this?
Why are you giving
You
them this?
nerds better get on this. I don't have you.
You should make this proprietary before you say anything.
But it would be huge.
Yeah,
Somebody's
well,
gonna make money. Next thing you know, next week you're gonna see this shit and go, God damn it, I should.
No, but they used to have it. They had, I think, a Glory.
I think it was
game.
a K1 kickboxing game.
K1
or something
it
like
might have
that.
been.
PlayStation
Yeah.
2.
But that was in the Stone Ages.
Yeah, that was back in the early 2000s.
You have a DVD player?
No, sir. I no.
I
I
was
had.
gonna say if you have one that still played on the European format, I've got K1 European DVDs. I'll give you. If you could.
He's got a
play 'em.
whole.
I was using my PlayStation for DVDs for the longest time, but then I just gave video games up, and why waste your time on that? I'm gonna do 10 hours on screen time. But now I'm back, and then now those consoles can play whatever you want.
Yeah.
Maybe put a cassette tape in there; they'll probably play it.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, the video games in recovery, rest and recovery.
Gotta have it.
Drinking doesn't count.
No.
No.
Only on weekends.
Electrolytes.
Yeah, it catches up to you.
Let your coach do all the drinking and whatever, and you do
Man.
the recovery.
Well, I'm running out of water.
Recovery.
Before we close things up and kind of sticking with the Muay Thai and entertainment and media, I wanted to do the top 5 kickboxing movies of all time. And, this is my list. So, it's, I'm a movie nerd.
What's his name with the elephant? Umbach.
Ong Bak.
It's a beautiful one.
Yeah.
That was one of the first ones I seen out that was actually had some old traditional stuff in it. Some of the real.
Well, let me take you through the list. And again, this is just my list. Coming in at number 5, Choke D. Choke D came out in 2005, starring Dita Diafat, playing himself, where it follows him on his life story. He was a car thief in Paris, got locked up, met a Dutch man that had trained in Thailand, and told him, if you want to be a fighter, you need to move to Bangkok. And then he did. And it was in that era where they didn't train foreigners. He slept on the front porch and was like a homeless surfer guy until they let him wash underwear. And then, it's really good because it stars all authentic fighters. Again, it's him playing himself. Number 4, Ong Bak. Came out in...
Umbach.
Ong Bak. 2003, starring Tony Jaa. And Tony Jaa, really the Thai martial artist that's really like Jackie Chan and Jet Li, but of Siamese martial arts. And I believe he goes on a journey to save his elephant that were kidnapped by poachers.
Exactly.
And in the movie, Muay Baran is shown, which the world got to see the root of Muay Thai.
Combat Muay Thai.
Yeah, and some of the weaponry as well, like the tonfa,
Right.
where they're using the
A lot of people
strikes.
don't realize any of the weapons that are involved in Muay Thai.
Yeah,
They don't know.
and then so much of the culture, and I loved how Ong Bak showed the brutality of Siamese martial arts, because most of the movies were the Chinese choreography, like The Matrix and that. So they're like, where Ong Bak's like elbow to the face.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Jumping up and dropping
Flat
that
back.
12-6 right down and snapping.
And then a huge global hit. That movie wasn't just big in America. That was huge all over the world and did good for Muay Thai at that time. Coming in 3, Bloodsport.
Number 3.
I just watched that yesterday.
Number 3. Is that low, Sal?
I think so.
But this is
wonder
the
if
top
Dennis-
5 of all time. Number 3, in Bloodsport, 1988, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And Dennis Alexio.
But actually, Alexio wasn't in Bloodsport.
Yeah, no, he was in a
It's
kickboxing.
not kickboxer. My mistake.
Bloodsport was about Frank Dukes.
Yeah,
That's
Frank
right.
Dukes.
The military legend that went to fight in the underground Kumite, and that was one of the first times we saw a Muay Thai fighter. Being in '88, I was very, very young. That was the first time we saw the stance. And
Interesting,
The guy
huh?
had the eagle and the shorts, and they were fighting
That's
different
my
styles.
favorite stances when they stand, just like
We were already
I always do
trained-
that, like when I'm in the shadows and stuff. I'm all
And then the clinch and the
Yeah,
knee.
exactly.
We were like,
Yeah.
we want to do that style. That guy's sick.
Yeah.
Look at the shorts. The gi pants are cool. The shorts
shorts
are
were
really
bad.
cool. And then huge, even though it was a lower budget movie, that's a cult classic. But you know what
Huge.
I've learned recently is I ask my young students in the gym if they've seen this. Like I'll try to reference it. They haven't seen this.
Really?
Yeah, if it's more than 20 years old, the young generation
They got
thinks
no
it's
idea.
outdated.
Yeah.
Even now, if you're 30, you're a unk. At 30, you're old. So it's crazy. But you guys that haven't seen this, you don't know what you're missing. Like this should be watched yearly, like a Christmas Carol.
Don't get it confused.
There's a part.
with,
There's a part where what's his name? The guy with the beard. I can't remember his name, but he grabs the brick and goes, "Wah!" you
Oh,
want
the-
that?
the big
yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
The villains, the ring that goes like
Yeah.
this.
The curvature, yeah.
Remember he sprayed the poison in his
poison in his eyes,
and
and
he
he's just
couldn't
like,
see.
Hey, well, that's the way it was in those days.
And then his secret move, he drops down in the splits and hits
That's-
him with a groin internal punch to the groin.
You've never done that?
No. So yes,
Yeah.
still number 3. Let's go. Number 2, Kickboxer.
Yep.
Okay,
Came
all
out a year later,
My mistake.
1989, starring again Jean-Claude Van Damme and
Dennis
Dennis
Alexio.
Alexio.
My favorite kickboxers of all time.
Who,
And,
Dennis?
Yeah.
Well, if he wasn't beating women, I guess so.
Well,
Oh my God.
we didn't know that as kids, but you know he's in prison right now for that.
Yeah, you have
No,
more-
now, Dennis was one of my mentors.
Yeah.
My coach, Nasser, was training partners with him during
yeah,
the
I
heyday.
met him a few times.
And yeah, I used to hang around Dennis when I was in my teens.
He
and
was
20s.
mean. He was mean.
He was a mean guy.
Remember
He
in
was.
Sacramento when Nasser used to do the fights? Remember he used to have all the fights in that
Uh-huh.
hotel up there? Every once in a while, Dennis would show up. Man, he was nasty.
Yeah.
He was a mean guy.
Yeah, he almost beat up a kid for putting cheese on his burrito at Dos Coyotes.
I loved his shorts though. His shorts were my favorite. How he had the split shorts, like
Yeah.
Hawaiian style almost.
But now
he was
Dennis,
one of my favorite fighters back in the day.
Dennis didn't get in some legal trouble in Hawaii, but it was over some federal money issues.
Yeah.
Didn't want to pay those taxes.
Taxes and some other things that happened. It wasn't. He had some violence charges, but it wasn't that. It was there was a couple $100,000.
I would say,
and-
isn't he in prison for like tax evasion or something
Yes,
like that? Yeah.
Yes. It too bad, but great movie. And
Was.
Jean-Claude Van Damme and his older brother Alexio, and
Right,
Alexio is the champ. And then they go to Thailand to challenge the Thai champion Tong Po.
Tong Po, the building beater.
Yeah, and the iconic scene where he's kicking the
the
post in
That
the
was the
locker
best.
room,
That was the
and
It motivated me to kick the walls too. And after that, I was like,
it is just
Von Damme just
ridiculous.
watching him, he's like,
Yeah, he's
But
like,
I
let's
like
not
the-
fight.
I
Yeah.
like the part where he stretches him out. And then in Kickboxer was that
That's Bloodsport.
Okay, where he stretches him in the splits.
Yeah, I do that with
and pulls
Sal.
the trees. Yeah.
We tie ropes. Yeah.
let me know when you do that next time, because I'd like to come over and watch.
Only fans.
You'll be the first.
But Kickboxer, it showed you some of the famous stadiums. It showed you the park in Bangkok. And if you ever go to Thailand, you see these famous places. And that in the 80s, people hadn't seen Muay Thai. So that turned a lot of people onto the style, even though some of the training was questionable. But kick the tree, let's go. Remember your brother?
Yeah.
Kick the tree. I still use that one. You know, like, what are you ready to get serious? Kick the tree. Coming in at number 1, and this is a controversial one. Say Anything. Say Anything. 1989.
I don't think I've seen
John Cusack.
John Cusack.
Say Anything. John Cusack plays a senior in high school that's graduating. And he's a young, aspiring kickboxer, and he's in that transitional age where, it's time to get a job, and he meets a beautiful, talented, educated girl that's going to go away to college, but they're spending that senior summer together. And there's an iconic scene where he's in the gym sparring, kickboxing. And again, this is in '89, same year as Kickboxer, the movie came out. So these movies were popping at the
Yeah,
time.
in the
Must have been
80s.
from Karate
Right.
Kid. And there's a market demand for this. But yeah, he's sparring, and she comes in to see this kickboxing stuff. And he gets distracted. The classic thing, like you never bring your girl to sparring day.
Right.
He
Turn
looks
your head,
over.
kick
He looks
the
over,
leg.
and he gets kicked in the face and knocked out. But then he goes over. Now, Say Anything. You guys got to know it. He's standing out in front of her house with the boombox playing the Peter Gabriel song. That '80s movie. Remember that?
That's what that comes from.
I
didn't
don't.
know. I'm
But listen.
Now I'm going to have to go home and watch it.
Now,
Yeah, I guess.
he goes to date this girl, and she's an educated girl. He's more lowbrow. And so he goes to the family dinner. And so they're interviewing him. They're like, who are you? And what are you going to do with your future? And he's like, I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to buy anything. He's like, basically, I'm going to kickbox. It's the sport of the future. And he said that in 1989.
Wow.
And the kickboxing in the movie was trash, but that was an A-list, big budget
Movie back then.
it marketed to teenagers, and for someone like me of that generation, that was really cool.
Right.
And even though these other movies probably have better Muay Thai or kickboxing,
Or been heard of.
this one was very. No way, you guys have to. This is I. This
Well, I
is,
will now. I have to look at it.
Now, John Cusack, he made a lot of popular movies in the '80s, like Better Off Dead, and what else? High Fidelity.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's the one I know.
But that one was a box office hit. It's still a cult classic, and yeah, it showed kickboxing as like this new edgy sport and a sport of the future. And also, I've had so many guys like that they trained all through high school, and then they get to that age where they get a girlfriend and it's time to get a job, and then
Life
they
changes.
give up kickboxing
Yeah.
or martial arts. So very relevant.
But they still talk about it. Oh, there was a time when
We
I used
had
to-
a guy named Maurice Hooks. He was, as an amateur, he was
Man.
like 40-0, and then he got married and had kids, and then went pro and was 0-3 because he just
Spiral. Totally
couldn't handle the
different
crowd or
life.
something. I don't know. Married, had
Yeah, this
kids,
guy had hands.
but
like
he was
no other. He was
as an
good.
amateur, he was badass.
But it was also that the edgy guy with the older car with a manual transmission. He got
We go
the
back
guy,
to that.
He got the girl.
The
He got the
Manny-
girl that was going to Harvard, and she picked him. You know what I mean? And it's about the
Sure, they always
edginess.
take the bad boys.
Yeah, it's
How
about
is
the
that?
martial arts stuff. And she knew. She knew. And in the end, it all worked out.
Nice.
You know, the kickboxer, he knew.
Oh yeah, kickboxing, you'll get the girl.
But gentlemen, it was a great honor. We covered so much, and I'm really excited for the people in the martial art and Muay Thai community to get
it
to,
was fun
to hear
being
from you
here,
guys.
Too. You know, we have a big event coming up July 18th through the 20th in Las Vegas for the IKF World Championships. And hopefully you guys are there. You know, it's a great event. This is probably one to be our bigger years. We have over 250 competitors already signed up.
No, I saw that, and that's great. I haven't
Yeah.
done one of the IKF Nationals yet.
You should.
We got to do it.
It's in Las Vegas.
And I'm a great card player.
Yeah, you
So I
should.
got to get there. We'll be
He's-
fighting that day, gambling at night.
Are you
You'll
coming
be
this
sitting
year?
next to him.
No.
Well, if you guys decide to come out, let me know. I'll get you guys in and stuff too. You guys just want to just come check it out. If you know, I know it's a long ways away and it's kind of pricey and stuff, but
If they ever need commentary,
okay.
let me know.
Yeah.
I'll fly out.
They got Johnny Davis's his partner.
I met him.
can't
He's
remember the
great.
name. Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Derek. He's awesome. He
We
was out
can
there in
call
Reno.
together.
Yeah,
It would be insane because we both got that wild energy.
Yeah.
We'll both be screaming.
I'm going to be doing a show October 25th, and I would love to have you guys out there.
Yeah, we
You know,
talked about that.
yeah.
I got a lot of young
get-
fighters.
We'll get more together on that.
where's that gonna be?
Merced Fairgrounds.
And is that Best of the Best, or that's your show?
That's
No.
his own show.
I'm
doing
just
my
doing.
own.
I'm not doing any more pro-ami shows. I'm just going to stick with the PMT shows. It's
Yeah.
just-
I'm gonna try and do,
It's-
you
it's
know how Lino has
easier.
his here in Sacramento. I'm gonna try and do mine for Fresno, Merced, Modesto area. Hopefully, Central California, get more pull that way and stuff. It's for their local, I'm gonna bring fighters from all over, but for fighters that live in Atwater and go to Sacramento to fight and can't have no family there. That's what I'm trying to do for the ones that are over there. In that
And I just want to stick
Sonora.
with PMT so I can get guys to prep for these shows as opposed to me doing a show because we're too close in the same area in proximity. So why not prep guys for those shows? And it still works out both ways. I don't mind doing that. So I would just assume a little less work for me.
Mine will be
Sure.
Chris Fields presents Fight Night in the Valley Series 1.
Fight Night in the Valley, Series 1.
Series 1.
Brought to you by Muay TV. And let us know if you need.
And his daddy
podcasts.
will be there.
Yeah. But so we have next weekend, we have Knock Muay Challenge 6
Yeah.
in Stockton. And then we have Rising Stars 11 Teen in Junior Show here in Sacramento at the Elks Lodge.
That's the day before his birthday.
70?
He'll be 70. July
Happy
11th,
birthday.
July 11th, the
say
weigh-ins.
that.
Oh, man.
We'll sing him happy birthday at the weigh-ins.
And then Las Vegas.
The World Classic right after that. Yeah.
And then your show,
Yes, sir. Well, no, right when we come back, August.
Muay Thai Purist.
Yeah,
August.
Yeah, August 2nd in Sacramento, I
That's
believe.
Sac, yeah.
And then September 18th and 25th is Rising Stars and All Out.
September 28th is PMT, my PMT, and October 5th.
Well, there's no shortage of action, and yeah, we're looking forward to seeing everyone at the show. And yeah, I'm going to take Sal down to All Out and call some of those, and we'll be seeing you guys at Rising Stars right after. And again, thanks again, gentlemen. Thanks
Thank
for
you guys.
Good to
It's
be
an
here.
honor and a
Thank you for
pleasure. I
having us.
appreciate you guys. And, I watched all your podcasts and stuff, and this is my first one, and it's fun. It's fun. I hope to do some more.
Yes, of course. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you at the next one.